Yeah, like I said, the wages are great either. I was a bit worried about all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's all about the experience, I guess.
Do you want the audio into your camera?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Just to make sure.
Yeah, that's probably what we set up.
So he played from yesterday, or did he? They like something yesterday, yeah.
But I don't know if there's any really.
And that you doing the zone count for it or my count?
Yeah, that would be for the zone count. Do you guys just want to be able to see the replays, or I know you said you want to see, but where should we put that monitor for, so you can see the wicket all the time?
Because last week we had like a direct feed from the camera that was live straight down the wicket.
Yeah.
It just meant we probably need another laptop to see the replays and stuff.
Well, yeah, you can use this if you want.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But whatever you think. Well, things are really moving up.
Well, I think you need to see the replays.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
So, it's just there's not a lot of room.
Yeah, that's true. Is there another table?
Oh, there might be another one.
Or we can set up the monitor here for them to watch over there.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I can move my book.
What about if we set up the monitor here and then could we both watch it from there? We tilted it up a bit.
Yeah. I mean, me and Jack can all move this around a bit. So, well, I guess just set up a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine. Alright.
The old faithful bag.
It's just so much easier having a bag.
Put this on shade.
What I was
doing gave us like a little challenge. They gave us one cup and we locked up.
Stars Foundation.
Yeah. Don't know why I'm donating to it, but
I reckon.
That one back.
Well, you could say you can buy a new one, so you could either just get money for it.
yeah.
First game of the season for me on the Kingsgrove Sport.
Is it?
Yeah. My son's birthday last week, so unfortunately I had to spend it with him. We went out to Kenworth to iFly, which is straight across the road from Kenworth Oval.
I'm surprised you went out to Penny. My fry.
So
Good.
That's so nothing.
What?
It's good.
It's the last place games.
We'll probably end up doing a game at how late they game. Penrith are actually pretty good in the T20s. They scored like 217 from their last game, and they got a century.
Yeah, I'd like to remind you that test captain.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Two of them.
And his brother's cut all ties with the West. He's a Sydney anyway now. 10 minutes. Do you want to go out and have a look at the pitch?
Mark, do you know where the splitter is?
Oh, where is it?
Yeah.
It's probably in one of these bags, because might be in this bag.
It's not in here. Damn. It could be in here.
It's definitely in one of these bags, because it's just wherever it was packed.
You wouldn't know.
Not in
that the zone cam
Yeah.
case? It wouldn't be in that. Because if there's no splitter, then we essentially can't have the monitor. I mean, we wouldn't have not.
We had it last week.
We had it last week, and we wouldn't have not packed it back. You know.
Oh, I know where it is. I'll get out of the car. It'll probably be in that green bag. You reckon? With all those cables.
Yeah, if that's still there.
Yeah.
But did you bring that green bag in last week?
Oh, no.
Oh,
mate.
yeah,
I think I did. How do I want to take the password off this.
Hey, should I go and set up the other camera?
While I'm getting this, yeah. What's the thing they use called? Password and security, I saw it this morning. Worth two. If I'm going to put him on player. Yeah, that's when he brought me up.
Sorry, Mike. I asked you a question and then I didn't, like I said, when you call these messages. Do you want me to set up that camera?
Yeah.
Where are you thinking?
Actually, just let me just go grab the bag first. And I don't think that camera's that good.
Is there power there?
In that building, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I will, mate. Thanks.
Yes, please.
So we're just up here, Ian. Who's back here? I might get another chair. Get one more. You want to move up just a little bit? Back again. That's all right. Do you know who's in your team?
Yeah, there's
Oh, beautiful. Just making sure I picked the right one here. Yep, I think I'm right. That's it. So where's Vina today?
not sure.
Very disappointed. Very disappointed.
You probably figured that out.
You won a toss yesterday. Yeah. Batting first is not surprising.
So the live view
Where were you yesterday?
is number 8.
That was
We could absolutely.
That's what the commentaries.
Yep, all good. All good. All good. Randwick won and having a back.
See you in a little bit.
Oh, we'll do Duckworth Lewis. I don't know why, but we will do it. Just in case. Yeah, you never know.
There you go, Jack.
Yep. I'll let you do this.
Cool. I'll bring this stuff out as well because you might need, if there's power coming out of that
Place, yeah.
that little office.
Yep.
Randy wanted
I'll
to
go
go
and stand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon you might need a few cables. So I'll come and go.
Oh, okay. Yep. Cool. Let's do that. Do you want to set this up though?
Yeah. I'll do this first.
Do you guys need a link and everything for the replays? Or they're going to send
Yeah, I'll have to ask them for it.
Which one? Which one did they want? I'll do this one.
I still can't find his number.
Welcome to the picturesque skies and picturesque scenes of Hurstville Oval for a rescheduled round one Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup from the Sixers Conference today. We have a cracking fixture for you here on KO Sports with the home side St George taking on Randwick Petersham. Should be a cracking clash. Both sides have some quality players throughout their starting 11. We're hoping for lots of runs and plenty of excitement over the next 3 hours or so. The players just about to make their way onto the field as we get ready for this cracking contest. Andrew Menzel is alongside me in commentary. A very warm good morning to you. Menace, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, Jack. What a great match we've got in prospect. Two good teams that competed in last year's semi-final. Randwick Petersham, the defending champions. So a really tantalising match in prospect. In the first round, Randwick got a good win, and St George lost a thriller to Manly. So two teams in relatively good form in this form of the game. And there's been a lot of rain around in Sydney, but the skies have cleared and the sun's out. So, yeah, really thrilled to be here.
Yeah, St George going down by 2 runs to Manly last week, while Randwick Petersham held on for an enthralling 5-run victory over UTS North Sydney. And the news from the middle was that Randwick Petersham called correctly. They have won the toss and elected to bat first here under lovely conditions at Hurstville Oval. Blue skies, some scattered cloud, but certainly no chance of rain over the next few hours or so. Fairly warm down at ground level. Myself and Benes went out and inspected the pitch. It looked pretty dry, pretty flat, so it's going to be very, very good for batting, you feel, over the course of the morning into the early portions of the afternoon. This match initially was supposed to happen a few weeks ago, but with all the inclement and wet weather around Sydney, it was postponed and called off, and now we are back on the field. St George wearing their traditional red and white with the white V, and Randwick Petersham in the green and gold, I guess you can say. First up winners, if they were to get a win today, Randwick Petersham, a 2-0 start to the season would put them in good stead. Of course, the reigning champions beat Sydney University in that final University Oval that myself and Menas called back in the early portions of 2022. They've had I don't want to say a meteoric rise, but certainly the last 3 or 4 seasons been very impressive. They've lifted up the Belvedere Cup, the first grade two-day competition, and then they've also picked up the one-day cup competition and won the T20 Cup last year. So they've dominated in all 3 formats, and they'd love to get a victory here today against St George's side that had some pretty good battles with Menas.
Yeah, very much so. And Camden Hawkins is on strike, and he's opening up with Tawanda Muyeye from Zimbabwe. Riley Ayre slated to come in at number 3 for Randwick. Daniel Sams at 4. So some power up the top for Randwick. So this power play could be exciting, the first 6 overs with the field up.
Yeah, they've got some real natural stroke makers, natural hitters in that top order. Got Anthony Sams at 5, who crunched 83 for Randwick Petersham in their 2-day Belvedere Cup clash against Sutherland. They made 8 for 340. Riley Ayre made 66 in that clash as well. So the run certainly flowed yesterday for the boys from Randwick. As we wait, it is going to be Jonathan Craig Dobson, pardon me, with the ball in hand from the Bill O'Reilly end of the ground. As we just have a little bit of delay until the clock does strike 10 a.m. Do find it quite funny that players and officials rush out to the middle, and then we find ourselves standing around for 60 seconds, sometimes longer, until the clock strikes 10 a.m. They've got their eagle eyes on the Eric Johnson Memorial scoreboard. It's ticked over to 10, so we're all good to play here with the first ball innings. Camden Hawkins facing Jonathan Craig Dobson, and nudges this off the hip, and they'll scamper themselves through for a single. So they're off and running straight away here, Randwick Petersham.
Jack, before play, you and I went out to the middle and had a look at the wicket, and it looks a good batting track. Quite dry, hard. There should be some runs on offer if you can get yourself in. But I do wonder if spin may play a part as this game goes on this morning. May take a little bit of turn, especially in that second innings. But overall, quick outfield, good pitch, lots of runs on offer.
That's very wide, and Julie called a wide, as well kept by Van Tempest behind the stumps, but a free run there to the Randwick Petersham side. made 149 last game, Randwick Petersham against UTS North Sydney. For driving in the air, would have been a brilliant catch, diving across to the right as it was pushed uppishly through the covers, just away from Blake McDonald. It was a great effort, but it was all in vain as they get back for a couple.
Yeah, tough chance to McDonald's, right? But you could just see there the way the ball flew off his bat. This pitch is hard. The ball's coming on, so I think on this pitch you'll need at least sort of 160 will be about par.
A little bit over exuberant there was Tawanda Moyeye, so he pushed it with hard hands, but was able to get away with it. On leg stump and push down the ground. He's going to take on the arm here. It's a shot at the stumps and it evades everything as they'll collect a single. So looking to take on the field in these early stages, Randwick Petersham.
Yeah, it's an energetic start, isn't it? They've been very keen to rotate the strike and put the pressure back onto the St George bowlers. Brings Hawkins back on strike.
Short on the hips and chipped away nicely. Just in front of square by Hawkins, who's seemed to have his eye in from that very first delivery.
So we are in the power play, so only 2 fielders allowed outside the circle. There's a deep point and a deep square leg patrolling the boundary. And no one behind the wicket, so anything that flies off the edge will run away in these short boundaries straight.
Oh, lofting this one, well over mid-on. It wasn't out of the middle, and Moyeye will come back for a second, but I guess that's the advantage of the power play with fielders up. You can't have everyone out, and was able to chip that one over the top and pick up a couple.
A very confident start from Randwick Petersham, looking to go over the top.
Yeah, already 8 runs from these first 5 deliveries from Jonathan Craig Dobson. Can they finish with a flurry? Well, this one's flicked beautifully off the hips. That's a magnificent shot. One bounce over the rope for 4. And they end the over in stylish fashion. Tawanda Moyeye, who played well last week against Norse, where he made 35 from 33, is continuing in a similar vein. He moves to 9 from just 4 deliveries. And Randwick Petersham, the perfect start manners. None for 12 after 1.
Yeah, beautiful start. And that was a lovely shot. Ball slightly over pitched, and Moyeye just worked it in the air on the onside. Didn't try and hit it too hard, just went with the timing and the placement, and with only 1 fielder out deep on the onside, that rolled over and up the bike track. For those that have been to Hurstville over before, you know there's a bike track going around the edge of the field.
Peter Francis is going to share the new ball for the Saints. They toiled hard yesterday in their Belvedere Cup clash against Eastern Suburbs St George, 6 for 247 at the close of play. Pitched up and Hawkins driving confidently, but straight down to Luke Bartier at mid-off. Would have felt frustrated, St George, in getting so close against Manly last game and not being able to get anything out of that contest. So I'll know how important this game is in the grand scheme of things. Very hard to start 0-2 and make it way through to the conference semi-finals of this competition. Francis a bit shorter, just eased into the gap there. There's a shot then on striker's end, but they'll get through for a single. So Hawkins seems happy just to move the ball into the gaps and pick up the singles and give Moyeye the strike.
Yeah, Moyeye in the first match scored 35 off 33 deliveries with 3 4s and 1 6. That was against the North Sydney Bears. Camden Hawkins just made 2 off 2 deliveries. So he'll be looking to bounce back in this match. Here's Francis again.
Driving, that's a beautiful cover drive, but well stopped by the skipper, Nick Stapleton, diving across there in the covers. But ominous signs early on here for St George, because Tawanda Muyeye, he looks to be in a mood.
Does he ever? Pete Francis bowling at the moment from the grandstand end of the ground in the first match. 4 overs, 1 for 22, so good performance by him against Manly. Here he is again.
Pitched up, and yeah, just chopping that one away towards that gully region for the single. There's a Zimbabwean national that has made a fairly permanent move over to the UK. He's played 10 first-class games for the Kent Cricket Club. Has hit 4 half-centuries in those 10 games, and has now got an opportunity to play, I guess, in the English winter, the Australian summer. Chance to test himself against some of the best in the Sydney Premier grade competition. Getting to play with a pretty good club as well in Randwick Petersham that had a fair bit of success over the last little period. Francis to Hawkins, who's clipping this one out to mid-wicket, and McDonald is able to field.
Yeah, we were out at Randwick Petersham early this season when they played a warm-up game against the Island team, and you know there is quite a nice relationship between English county cricket and Irish cricket, where you know you see quite a few players come over and play grade cricket or Premier cricket.
Yeah, it's not bad to finish by the mid-afternoon today and get to head down to Coogee for the afternoon. Francis in and Hawkins easing that one. It's a good attempt by Caleb Phillips diving across, but they too pick up the singles. Had quite a wonderful campaign last season, as that brings us to the end of the second over. None for 15, Randwick Petersham. Over 600 runs in all competitions, averaging 40.1. He averaged 46 just in the Belvedere Cup, the first grade competition, and then of course hit that match-winning half-century for Randwick Petersham in the final against Sydney University. Probably hasn't had the success he would have wanted early in the season, but 3 single-digit scores, but looks to be kind of working towards something here. He's 4 off 6.
Yeah, he played well in the final last year.
He's pulling this one beautifully backward, a square leg for 4. That was just hit really hard by Hawkins, who threw the hands at it, and it was a little bit too short there from Nick Stapleton, the skipper, who's come into the attack, and the first ball gets dispatched to the boundary for 4.
Yeah, too short, a little straight. Hawkins found the gap behind square on the onside.
Now he's driving expansively out to Phillips at cover point. 40 also for Cameron Hawkins yesterday, so that would have given him some confidence as the top 5, top 6 really powered for Randwick Petersham in their clash against Sutherland at Glen McGrath Oval.
Nick Stapleton in the first Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup game of the season, 2 overs, 1 for 20.
And he comes. Hawkins advancing and hammering that one down the ground. It wasn't perhaps where he wanted to really hit it, didn't get the timing, but picked up the single. Haven't seen too many dots, and that's the important thing when you're batting, especially in this power play for the first 6 overs, members.
Yeah, no dot balls, and it's already forced to change. Stapleton coming into the attack already. Craig Dobson being removed. And now they're dropping mid-on back to long-on and bringing in the deep point. So Muyeye forcing the St George skipper to make changes.
It's back and pulling that one beautifully. That's gone a long way. Crashes in to the bricks on the seating on the leg side, and that raced off the willow of Tawanda Muyeye, who is looking in fine touch here this morning at Hurstville Oval.
Absolutely, that flew off the willow, just picked it up and whipped it over backward square leg, and it went over the white picket fence here. And this is a great start from the defending champions. None for 26.
Muyeye 16 off just 7. And now driving over the top, it's going to go straight to Phillips. It's a dolly of a catch. He makes no mistake, the talented all-rounder, and Stapleton does get the breakthrough. After Muyeye hitting that big 6, probably didn't need to try and replicate or come up with the big shot again. But he departs for 16 off 8. And St George, importantly enough, Andrew Menzel, they get a breakthrough in the power play. It's 1 down.
They needed that wicket because Randwick Petersham were getting away from them, and this will just peg them back a bit. And you're right, probably a shot Mouret didn't need to play. Of course, if he'd hit it over the top for 4 or 6, we'd be praising him. But good bowling, switched the line from being a bit straight to testing Mouret outside the off stump, and in the end just didn't time that cover drive, and Phillips took a pretty simple catch. And that brings Anthony Sams to the crease, the skipper. Johnny Camden Hawkins, who's 9 off 9. They scored 1 for 26. We've got 1 ball left in the 3rd over. And already an action-packed Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup game. Huge day of T20 cricket. Obviously, we've got the T20 World Cup going on at the moment. A triple header later today. This is the curtain raiser at Hurstville. Well, that's what I'm calling it, Jack. I'm not sure that's official.
You're more than entitled to say that, Menace. Certainly is the curtain raiser. Plenty of exciting things happening here. Riley Eyre, the new batter. In fact, it's not Riley Eyre, it's Anthony Sams. We did have Riley Eyre down on our team list as potentially coming in next, but Anthony Sams is in there at number 3. He was absolutely smashing it in practice when Menace and I were out there, so if he can hit the ball half as well as we saw in the practice, he should do pretty well. He's off the mark straight away. He's on 1, and Hawkins on a run of ball 9. So 3 gone, 1 for 27, 9 runs per over is that run rate, and this is right where Randwick Petersham probably want to be at this stage of the innings, halfway through the power play.
Anthony Sams in the first game of the season in this competition, 13 runs off 18 deliveries. Early stages of the competition though. The Sydney Sixers Conference.
So Tom McKenzie coming into the attack for St George for the first time this morning.
So 4 overs, 4 different bowlers.
Pitched up and driven firmly, but well fielded. Had a good day against Manly. Tom McKenzie, 3 for 24 against the Manly boys, and was really the backbone of the attack in restricting Manly, who have some very talented batters in that top 6. So I need something similar from him today. Short and pull around the corner, wasn't timed, and picked out Dobson at that short fine leg position. So a couple of dots to start here for McKenzie. A good start here for him and St George in the beginning of this 4th over.
Certainly becoming more prevalent. You'll see in the first 6 overs in the power play, captains rotate their bowlers a lot, so the batters can't line them up.
Driving firmly, but straight to Stapleton at cover.
It is looking like a good wicket to bat on, isn't it, Jack? Sometimes you can get a bit of a slowish track on these Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup because they might use the pitch on the Saturday for the Belvedere Cup, but this one looks hard. You can hear the ball really crashing into the bat.
Reminds me of that pitch at University Oval that we saw, I think, in the semi-final between Parramatta and the Students, where we saw a host of runs in either innings. Short and looking to pull around the corners. A bit of a mistake by Van Tempest behind the stumps, and they'll get through for a bye at least. Don't see that too often in any format of the game, but they do get through for the single there. Sams gets off strike, and Hawkins finds himself at the striker's end now.
Yeah, odd shot from Anthony Sams there. Ball not short enough to play across the line in the manner that he did. And in the end, lucky didn't cannon into the stumps.
Short up. And ricochets off the pad and the batters. It dribbles out onto the offside. So McKenzie just bowling that awkward length. The batters can't really get forward and play through the line manners, but they don't have the time to go back onto their stumps either.
Yeah, and some nice shape back into the right-handers as well. It's really tightened things up. so far, with only 1 run being conceded off this over, with 1 ball left. Certainly what his team needed.
Ball flicked in the air. He'll pick out the man in the deep. It was well timed by Hawkins. He'll retain the strike. He goes to double figures, but a really good over there by St George. The last couple of overs, they pulled it back with a wicket, and now just 2 off that over, with 1 just coming from the bat. 4 gone. Randwick Petersham, who won the toss, elected to bat, a 1 for 29.
I think Hawkins plays the kind of anchor role in this Randwick Petersham batting lineup. He sort of looks to work the strike and get the hitters on strike and just give them a bit of stability, and the dashers can bat around him.
Yeah, he looks like, and we saw that in the final last year, didn't we? I think he's 53 or 54, count off about 43 or 44 balls, so he does occupy a bit of time in the middle, but I think you need that anchorage, especially if you lose a couple of wickets. I think if an Anthony Sams or Dan Sams would have been dismissed cheaply, Hawkins staying out there is very important. And he just pushes that one onto the offside and picks up a single.
Yeah, you do see T20 teams employ this tactic where they ask one player to halt the fall of wickets and just try and rotate things around, because what you don't want is to be losing wickets at both ends in the power, well, any stage. So if you've got one player that can just work things around, as long as you don't get stuck on strike, that's the key. And we've seen that already. Hawkins just plays it into the gap and runs. Very smart cricket.
Sams almost ricochets that onto the stumps, again going for a big shot onto the leg side. He inside edged onto the boot and trickled away. Picks up a single, but again, probably not the shot that needs to be played in this kind of situation.
No, but it's exactly what I was saying, isn't it? First ball, Hawkins just works into the offside, gets off strike. Second ball, Anthony Sams tries to put that into the playground over long on there. A lot of kids there having a good time, enjoying Sunday morning sunshine. Just keep an eye out, I think, the way Sams is looking to hit him.
Hawkins flicks this one beautifully. It's going to take a couple of bounces over the fence for 4. So he uses his feet nicely, gets to the pitch of the ball and is able to flick through the line high and handsome over the infield for 4. Breaks the shackle somewhat there for Randwick Petersham. Hawkins goes to 15. It's 1 for 35.
Some real flair there, the way he just flicked that over mid-wicket. Terrific shot.
He's made a good start, hasn't he? Moved to 15 without minimal fuss and a minimal risk as well, it must be said. And paddles this one over the top. That'll be 4 more. Really inventive stuff from the Randwick Petersham opening batsman. He shuffles across and lifts it over the top of the helpless St George infield for 4 more. Back-to-back boundaries, and all of a sudden they're firming themselves back again here, Randwick Petersham, 1 for 40.
Beautiful little paddle shot there. Shaped to back away and then went to the other way to the offside and just flicked it past the keeper and short fine leg and very short boundary. That was always going to be 4. And in fact, if you can get the right angle, you can easily hit those for 6, I think, with the pace of the ball.
And clips this one nicely off the toes out to deepish mid-wicket for the single. So that's all he needs to do. He gives Sams the strike for the last ball of the over. So Hawkins has now moved to 20 from 15 with those back-to-back boundaries. Sams 2 from 6, 1 for 40. That run rate around 8.2 runs and over at the moment.
So deep backward square leg and a deep mid-wicket now on the onside.
Does Sams try and go big, or does he ease the single? He's punching out to cover. It's a stacked offside field and he can't get that one through there. So end of the over, a pretty good one for Randwick Petersham. They find themselves 1 for 40 after 5, with 11 coming from that over. Hawkins on 20, Sams on 2, and just the 1 over left in the power play.
Mackenzie going to continue from the grandstand end. Bowled a terrific first over, just conceding 1 run. He'll be looking for a repeat of that. Hawkins will be on strike. There's a deep square leg and a deep backward square leg.
Okay.
No, it's a deep, very sort of square, fine leg.
So, yeah, okay. I can't do everything on that.
Mackenzie in. Just play to a mid-off by Hawkins there for 1 run. Score 1 for 41.
Yeah, plenty of options with the ball here for St George. We haven't seen the slow bowling of Josh Moores as of yet. Raphael McMillan, another one that you think will get an opportunity with the ball. Luke Bartier, the all-rounder. So that there's no shortage of options for Nick Stapleton. And it's not getting away from them yet either, St George.
Mackenzie in again, and Sams tries to launch that one over the onside and doesn't make contact.
Spent a couple of times those balls just in that patch outside the off-stump men and staying a touch low.
Yeah, I also think Mackenzie's running his fingers across them and taking a bit of pace off them and a bit of a cut as well, and this pitch is responsive to that. So I wonder if we'll see a lot of the bowlers start to take the pace off the ball and, you know, switch to cutters and make the batters put the pace into it. Sam's on strike. That short ball, and that's hit in the air. Square legs running across. Good save. And they're coming back for 2. Good fielding by the man out there patrolling the boundary.
Yeah, it's a big boundary out there. It's obviously shorter to, I guess, the grandstand side or where the players and the scoreboard area is. That's a big hit out there. He got plenty of it, Sam's, but it was wonderfully well stopped out on the rope there by Josh Moores, who's done a bit of fielding so far this morning. But Sam's catches in and picks up 2. It's a pretty vacant region out there, so he knows if he can get it over the infield, it's going to be at least 2 every ball.
Just moving him a bit straighter now on the boundary. Short ball again, and Sam's rocks back and hits it straight to where the man was moved. And it's got past him, and they're coming back for 2. He got enough of a hand on it so the ball didn't end up going over the boundary, but did concede the extra run. Commentator's curse there, Jack?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Maybe just took his eyes off it at the last moment there, Josh Moores. But good running by this pair, and they pick up a couple. That's just as important as hitting the big shots, running well between the wickets, which this pair have been doing.
Mackenzie steams in, pitches up, and Sam slashes at that one, and it flies over the point region for 4. The score now 1 for 49 with 1 ball left in the power play.
Yeah, threw the hands hard at it. Thought he might have tried to be playing that more through cover, but he timed it and hit it so hard that it raced through that cover point region. And with the field up, Anthony Sams just looking to cash in for these last few balls, and maybe the fact that he's been able to motor these last couple, he might just be a bit of a platform for the talented wicketkeeper batsman.
Mackenzie. And Sams is back, turning that on the onside. They've taken one. They're looking to take on the fielder, but that's smart work, and the throw was in quickly, so kept them to 1. That is the 50 for Randwick Petersham. Exactly the end of the power play. They're 1 for 50. And you would say a very good start from the defending champions, Jack. They've been positive, they've rotated the strike, and they've looked every bit the class that they showed last year.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you can get to that 50, that magic 50 total in the 6 overs, you're pretty happy. If you lose 3 or 4, maybe you're not that happy, but Randwick Petersham have lost just the 1 wicket, so they've got plenty of stocks in reserve for them. They've got a lot of quality batters to come, and they've certainly set up a bit of a platform here as we kind of reach the 1/3 mark of the of this innings. So I think they'd be very pleased with that. I think conversely, I don't think St George would be overly disappointed. They would have loved a few more wickets, but a run rate of 8.3 per over isn't outlandish at this stage. They can certainly peg it back, and we're seeing that the pitch is playing pretty true and is pretty good to bat on.
Craig Dobson being brought back into the attack. Sam's on strike, who pushes too long off.
Yeah, big day for Anthony Sams yesterday. Crafted his way to 83 against Sutherland. He's been such a fine performer, Anthony Sams, for Randwick Petersham. 34 now, so he's played a lot of first-grade cricket. Has had a smattering of second 11 cricket back in the day. 13 off 18 on his first D against North, so he's kind of got to that number again, but looking to be a bit more confident, a bit more fluid in his strokes now that he's been able to get that hand-eye coordination going.
So we see the power plays ended, so they've spread the field. We'll go through it at the end of this delivery. Craig Dobson in to Hawkins, who defends, and they think about 1, but the bowler got across smartly and No run conceded, so there is a fine leg. There's a deep mid-wicket, a long on, regulation mid-wicket, long off, cover, point, short third man, and a sweeper on the offside. Hawkins slashes at that one, and that's a good catch by the... Oh no, it's fallen short. So just on the hop to Bartier, and immediately signalled that he didn't catch it. Hawkins survives. He's on 21 off 18 deliveries. Just flew off the edge there and just a foot short of Bartier. Score 1 for 51 in the 7th over. Hawkins survives. Craig Dobson again, pitch up, and that's hoiked over mid-wicket. Good fielding by the man at long on. He's stretched out the arm and pulled it back and just kept them to 2. Excellent stuff by Blake McDonald, who's at long on. Hawkins moves along to 23. They score 1 for 53. Didn't quite time that one, Hawkins. No. Seemed to come off the sort of inside of the bat, but still found the gap. Could those 2 runs saved by McDonald be crucial later on? Craig Dobson in. Pitches up and hit too long off. He moves on to 24. They score 1 for 54. And there's a that's a bit of bad luck, isn't it, for St George? Ricochets off the stumps and they pick up another one after the ball just dying in front of Luke Bartier a couple of balls prior to that. There's been a bit of discussion this week on the back of a ball in the India-Pakistan T20 World Cup match off a free hit that ricocheted off the stumps, that perhaps when the ball hits the stumps it should be dead. What do you think? No, I think that's fair. I think if it comes off a batsman's bat, then that's a completely different conversation. But I think if someone's having a shot at the stumps, I think that the batters are more than entitled to go through and pick up another run. Craig Dobson pitches up and Hawkins plays it to long on for an easy single. The score 1 for 56 now after 7 overs. Just 6 runs conceded there. Good comeback from Craig Dobson, who conceded 12 in his first over. It does seem like a pitch where if you try and hit the ball too hard, as I've seen Hawkins and Sams try to do it in portions of this partnership, if you're trying to really to kind of find the gaps and to time the ball, but when you're playing more classically, playing those classical kind of cover drives, looking more for timing, that's where you're going to get a bit more value for your runs. So just something to keep an eye on. That's why Muyeye looked so good when in his little cameo at the top of the innings. Didn't really try and hit the ball too hard, was using the pace and working it onto the onside. But now Matthew Hopkins being brought into the attack. Hawkins is on strike. Here's Hopkins, his first ball. That's down leg side and not called a wide. Hopkins a tidy off spinner. In again, and Hawkins is trying to paddle that one past the keeper unsuccessfully. That's my ball. That's swung onto the onside. 1 run. So this is Raphael McMillan bowling. Sorry, we're given the wrong numbers. So the off spinner Raphael McMillan with the ball. He bowled well last game against Manly. In again, tosses up, and that's hit down the ground. Oh, good fielding, and they keep it to 2. Bartier again. Yeah, bit of self-preservation there. That ball was travelling. Yeah, he kind of
stumbled and almost like a soccer goalkeeper just kind of like parried the ball away to sort of from like smacking him in the face or something worse. So a lovely piece of fielding down there at long off.
McMillan in again. Oh, Sam's almost played that onto his stumps. Hey, McMillan 3 for 18 in the first game, so fine spell. Comes in with some form. Sam's on strike. Tossed up and hit to long off. And good catch by Bartier. And that's a big wicket. The skipper's gone for 14 off 16 deliveries. McMillan gets his first wicket, continuing his excellent form from the first match. And Randwick Petersham are 2 for 59.
Yeah, it's an important breakthrough. They were starting to get a little bit of something going there, were Randwick Petersham, and we know what a dangerous striker of the ball Anthony Sams can be, but he just never really seemed to kind of find his groove out there in the middle. He was trying to hit the ball a little bit too hard, a few edges, a few plays and misses outside the off stump, and yeah, there would have probably a frustrating inning, 16 balls for 14, and yeah, just as the Randwick Petersham side kind of felt like they were getting on top, they kind of pulled back a little bit, and you'd probably have to say at this stage 8 overs gone, 2 for 59, run rate of just above 7.5 and over. I'd say it's probably pretty even Stevens at the moment. Maybe Randwick Petersham just ahead, but this man Daniel Sams, the Sydney Thunder, the Australian representative, the Delhi Capitals player from the IPL, he is going to be a key wicket. I'm sure St George have thought about some bowling and fielding plans for the big man, and it's great to see him playing great cricket here with Randwick Petersham. It really legitimises this Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. We have players like Daniel Sams playing, so massive props to Dan for maybe not giving up his Sunday, but playing on a Sunday and helping out his teammates, but also kind of helping out the wider competition as well.
Yeah, really exciting to have Daniel Sams out there. He's such a fine hitter of the ball. We've seen him do it for the Thunder. We've seen him do it in the IPL. We've seen him do it in the 100 for the Trent Rockets. And now he's here at Hurstville Oval in the green, replacing his brother who was just dismissed. Daniel Sams is such an underrated batter. He's done so well in pressure situations.
That's what I was going to say. When he first started playing with the Sixers and then with the Thunder, I don't think there was a lot of focus put on his batting, but I think any fans of Randwick Petersham cricket, he's been playing for a long time, have known that he's always been a very capable striker, and he's always batted in that top 5, top 6 for Randwick Petersham. So a really capable hitter, and I think he's a real key man of how this game is going to continue.
Bartier comes into the attack after just taking a great catch, and that's worked into the onside in the air by Hawkins. There's a dive, but it gets past the fielder, and that's 4. Hawkins moves into the 30s. He's on 31 of 25, the score. 2 for 63.
Yeah, he's used that flick off the hips and that wristy flicker a few times this innings. Just a little bit of room there from Bartier, just able to get that front leg down the pitch and flick over. It was well timed as well. I thought for a moment that Stapleton was going to be able to chase that one down, but despite him sprinting across the skipper, it was so well hit that it evaded him, and an important boundary there for Randwick Petersham that just helps ease the pressure that's been built over the last couple of overs by the Saints.
Yeah, they just conceded 9 runs in the 2 overs after the power play. Hawkins on strike. Bartier pitches up, and a good-looking defensive shot and a priceless dot ball in this T20 match.
Yeah, lovely battle here. We can see that it is the kind of pitch that if you get in, you don't try and hit the ball too hard, you get that hand-eye coordination flowing, you can score some runs, but there's also a little bit in it for the bowlers as well.
Bartier from the Bill O'Reilly sight screen, and that is hit straight down the ground by Hawkins for 4. Lovely timing. He's exactly what Jack Clifton just said. He didn't try and hit that too hard, kept his shape, and then the timing was beautiful, and it raced to the boundary.
Yeah, well, Daniel Sams and the umpire just both had to take evasive action there. You never like that as an umpire or as a non-striker when your teammate decides to lace one straight down the ground at you. But it was good reaction time there by the umpy.
Bartier now, and Hawkins just steers that to short third for a single.
That's great cricket, man. I love seeing that. He's hit a couple of really good boundaries. He's just smoked one down the ground for 4. Would be easy to kind of do what Tuanda Moyeye did earlier, where you hit a 6 or you hit a 4, you try and follow it up with another one, but he just knows that they've got a few runs in this over. Don't need to overplay my hand. Just chops it into that gully region for a single. That's really smart cricket by Hawkins.
Yeah, perfect cricket, as Jordan Silk would say. Here's Bartier into Sam's first ball, and he just plays it too long on for a single off the toe of the bat. Scored 2 for 69.
And I think the way that Hawkins is playing, we kind of spoke about him as being a bit of an anchor, and I think he still is playing that role to an extent. But the fact that he's been able to pick up a couple of boundaries has probably opened the door for Daniel Sams to just ease his way into innings. Plenty of overs left. He can give himself a couple of overs to find his groove, knock a few singles around, rather than just having to come in and feel like he needs to be the aggressor early on.
Bartier, last ball of the 9th over, and that's a full toss and hit into the deep on the offside, and they've just taken 1 run. Attempted change of pace there. And the end of the 9th over, it's 2 for 70, 11 runs conceded, so good over for Randwick Petersham.
That wasn't a bad ball there from Bartier. You don't mind that. A bit of a slower full toss. It's not always an easy ball to knock away, so I don't mind that, him trying something a little bit different, trying to take some pace off the ball.
Yeah, how often do you see them just hit down a fielder's throat or mistimed and you get out?
I think it's very hard when there's a full toss square of the wicket as well, full outside the off stump, like that. There's not a whole lot you can do with it. You can't get the power through a cut shot that you might be able to get a full toss kind of around hip that you could hit down the ground.
McMillan in again. Pitches up and Hawkins defends nicely. You almost got a baseball bat, those full tosses.
Yeah, you do, yep.
Home run style. I was actually speaking to Greg Chappell about that recently. He played a lot of baseball. Here's McMillan. Tossed up, and that's swung away on the onside. It's carrying, and I think it's one bouncing over the rope. Really nice shot by Hawkins. Lofted sweep shot. There was no one out there, and 4 runs. He scored 2 for 74.
He's playing some sublime shots. We speak so much in the world of T20 cricket about someone being able to play 360 degrees, and I'm pretty sure if you looked at his wagon wheel, he would probably have shots most around the ground. He's hit some behind the keeper, he's hit through the offside, and he hits a glorious shot out through mid-wicket for 4.
McMillan in again, and that's just defended to mid-wicket. No run. Good comeback from the bowler. Here's McMillan, and that's pushed down the leg side. The keeper tried to affect the stumping, which way, and that's a wide. McMillan pushed that one through a bit quicker and just drifted down leg. Good keeping by Van Tempest. That could have easily gone away for buys. McMillan in, tosses up with a bit more loop, and that's hit again with some power, but good fielding by Phillips at long on.
Yeah, important for these last 2 balls for McMillan. He doesn't let this over get away from him. Started fairly well, that boundary, and now the wide has kind of seen 7 leaked. The last thing you want is a couple of boundaries or a big 6 hit, especially when you're bowling against Daniel Sams. So I guess the fortunate thing for McMillan is he is early in his innings. This is just his 2nd ball faced.
Tossed up, nice ball that one, sort of angling away from Daniel Sams, who just opened the face.
A lovely battle here for Raphael McMillan in the infancy of his first grade career, bowling against a guy that's played for Australia, has played all over the world.
Tossed up, and Sams is down the track, and that's well over long off for 6. Beautiful timing, and that's his first boundary. And the score 2 for 82. Lovely shot.
He just did it so easily. It was so nonchalant. He just kind of walked down the pitch and just flowed through the line, just swung through didn't try and hit the ball too hard. And mate, I'm sure there's people watching being like, "What? If I'm playing park cricket, I could be in for 50 overs and I can't time the ball like that." Dan Sams, the ball comes through and plays a lovely lofted off drive for 6, and that is, a few heart palpitations for sure for the St George skipper Nick Stapleton and some of the players seeing Sam's strike the ball like that, and they're in a pretty good position at the halfway mark, 2 for 82 with Hawkins 42 from 33 and Sam 7 from 3. What do you think they'll be aiming for from here, Menners?
I think upwards of 170.
Yeah.
Especially if Daniel Sams can stay out there. But we've seen an intriguing battle, sort of swayed from both sides. You know, St George have fought back with the ball. Here's Mackenzie.
Shorten just paddled around the corner. Nice piece of fielding down there by Moores. Keeps it to the single. Yeah, it just takes a wicket or a couple of wickets, doesn't it?
Macmillan, wrong yeah. Mac.
It just takes a couple of wickets to change things, doesn't it? Now we've got Tom McKenzie. No, you're right.
The scoreboard's got Macmillan.
Yeah, well, he couldn't
couldn't bowl both ends.
maybe
especially not after being hit for 6. You'd be like, no, I'm done, Skip.
Here is Tom McKenzie. Daniel Sams faces up. And he's back in behind defending a very good delivery, good length delivery there by McKenzie.
I was just saying before, Greg Chappell was saying in the off-season when he was playing cricket, he used to play baseball. And then when he would be in cricket season, he would get a full toss. He would hit them with a cross bat, and he found that much more effective than trying to straight bat them.
Oh, tries to swing across the line. Some half-hearted cries that became a tad more convincing as it continued, but not out is the call. Sam's looking for that short boundary on the leg side, Manners.
Yeah, I think the bowler was happy just to beat the bat there.
Get a drop ball.
Yeah, exactly. Hawkins on 43 off 34. Sam 7 off 5. A really good platform laid by the top order.
Wickets in the shed as well. That's the important thing for Randwick Petersham. Sams gets a little bit of a feather on that, does he? Gets down to the non-striker's end, and Caleb Phillips has a bit of a collision with the umpire, who is signalling that it is leg bias. Not sure what Caleb was watching, but he was watching where the umpire was, that's for sure.
See that in football a little bit. Daniel Sams there frustrated with himself at the non-striker's end after that ball, hitting his bat with his glove.
And Hawkins paddles that one around the corner, doesn't get it right in the middle. Again, Moores is scampering, crawling on his hands and knees to make sure that's just a single.
He did really well there because that's the short part of the boundary, and you just get any little feather on that past the fielder and it's an easy boundary. So Moores did well there. He looks like he's in a little bit of pain there, so he probably copped a knock when he dived across there. Deep cover there.
Sam's on strike for the last ball, the 11th over. And again, Miss Times tries to slap it out through mid-wicket off the inside edge and picks up a single, but he will return the strike. He's 8. Hawkins is 44, but a very good over there for St George's. They just peg it back somewhat. 11 gone, and Randwick Petersham won the toss, elected to bat in this Sydney Sixers Conference reschedule round 1 fixture. They're 2 for 86. Hawkins 44. Daniel Sams is on 8.
Tom McKenzie won that battle against Daniel Sams.
Impressive figures done for 14 from 3.
Yeah, really good stuff. He's been the pick of the bowlers so far. Change of bowling at the...
Yeah, we're going to see Josh Moores, who's been doing a lot of fielding. He's had the magnet on him. He's probably stopped 6 or 8 balls over the last 25 minutes or so. And now he gets a chance with the ball. So they take Macmillan off, so he's still got a couple left.
Moore's just bowled 1 over in the first game of the year, conceding 12 runs.
Comes in. Sams is beaten with a lovely ball.
Oh, what a beautiful leg break to start. Drifted in, spun away. He was seeing a little bit of assistance there for the wrist spinner. Here he is again.
Oh, Sams clears up front leg. It's gone sky high down towards the boundary, and Bartier takes a big catch and a big wicket for St George. Josh Moore loves it. He beat Daniel Sams all end up with the first ball, and that time he beat him in flight as Sams went to go down the ground. He almost got it over the boundary for 6, but Luke Bartier with a wonderful catch, well timed, wasn't easy, got his hands and eyes right underneath the line of the ball and took a magnificent catch, and that's a big wicket here for St George. And just when it looked like a platform maybe boosting for Randwick Petersham to post a big score, the second of their big guns is gone. Dan Sam's out for 8. They're 3 for 86.
Courageous bowling there from Moores. Daniel Sam's a big hitter, aggressive against spin bowling, and Moores beat the bat first ball and then tossed up that second one and tempted him, and it could so easily have disappeared over the grandstand the way Sam's was hitting them, but it just shanked off the outside of the bat, and a good catch by the fielder at long off, and just terrific stuff from the leg spinner, and a vital wicket because Daniel Sams could have done anything in this last 10 overs, but instead Riley Eyre is heading to the crease. Made his debut for New South Wales in the Sheffield Shield earlier this year. Fine batter and left arm spinner.
Man, as with this break in play, might just jump around and a bit of a progress update with some of the other Sixers conference matches that are going on. So Sydney are playing Sutherland at Glen McGrath Oval, and Sydney are 1 for 99. We've seen Bethel play a wondrous innings, 62 from 30 with 5 fours and 5 sixes there. Man, the Ringer 2 for 96 against Mossman. A couple of young New South Wales squad players doing the damage. Jack Edwards 44 from 20 with 3 fours and 4 sixes has just been dismissed, but Ollie Davies is 40 not out from 37. He's actually batting with his brother Joel at the current stage. They're laying a fairly good platform against Mossman. And then there's also Gordon, 3 for 64 against UTS North Sydney. Some good bowling so far from the Alexander boys for North, and Eastern so is 1 for 86 against the University of New South Wales. And squeezed off the inside edge by Eyre. Of course, even though the batters crossed, that is not the rule anymore. The ruling has been changed so that even if the batters do cross when a catch is taken, the new batter will always face, which I think is a wonderful rule. We spoke about it a little bit last week, myself and Dave Redden. So Eyre faces that first ball and picks up the single.
And what were your thoughts about it? Did you like it?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's nice to even up the ledger. I think the bowlers have it hard enough in T20 and in all short formats of the game. I think it's a rule is good. I think it's exciting for the neutral viewer as well when you've got a new player in. Chance for a wicket, chance for a chance. Moores dropped short and chipped away into the leg side there by Hawkins. Will just pick up the single. He's inching towards another 50. It would be a pretty good innings as well. He's moved to 45 from 35. Or 45 from 36.
3 for 88. I also like the fact that if you don't have that rule, there's no wasted time. You don't have to, try and work out if they crossed or not.
Yep. Oh, Morse hit. That looks very close. And he's got him. 2 and over for the Saints. And they are up and about at Hurstville Oval. He's having a huge impact. Here is Josh Moores. He gets rid of Dan Sams, and then he gets rid of the highly dangerous Riley Eyre as well. Wonderful bowling. It was a beautiful line and length, and it deceived Eyre as it cannoned into the front pad. The umpire took a little bit of time, was thoughtful, and the finger went up. Moores, he's got 2 for 2 from 5 balls, and Randwick Petersham in a bit of trouble now.
Yeah, Riley Eyre looking a little bit disappointed either with the shot or the decision. He did look to get outside off stump, but from the angle we're not quite straight down the wicket. But good bowling. We've seen nice variety in flight in this over from Moores. The ball that got Sams was tossed up a bit, got above the eyes and tempted him. That one a little bit flatter, a little bit more purchase off the pitch. And in the end, beating the inside of Eyre's bat, and he was dismissed. That brings
Daya Singh out to the middle. They're coming in at number 6, and all of a sudden that kind of 150, 160 score is looking a long way off here for Randwick Petersham. It just takes a couple of wickets. I guess the key for the visitors is the fact that Hawkins is still there on 45, and I think at this stage of the innings, Manners, I think he needs to bat all the way through, I think, for Randy Peets. Moore's in, thrown up, and that's a lovely ball as well. Far out. He has bowled a wondrous first over there, Moores. 2 for 2 off his first over. He gets congratulations for his teammates, and rightfully so as well. And Randwick Petersham have a little bit of pondering to do in the over break. 4 for 88 after 12.
T20 cricket, it's so challenging for spinners. Last match he bowled one over, got hammered for 12. This match comes in 2 for 2. Terrific stuff. Really important part of the innings as well, Manners. Yeah, we've seen since the power play, actually, Randwick Petersham just haven't been able to get on any real rhythm or run. You know, there's been some good overs, but also St George have bowled some great overs and really pegged them back, and looking like they're going to keep the score closer to 150, which will be a lot more chaseable.
Pulling hard is Hawkins out to deep mid wicket for the single. So yeah, off the power play they were 1 for 50 off 6. So since then, the last 6.1 overs, they've lost 3 wickets and only scored 39 runs. So St George have well and truly kept it in check, although still a fair few overs to go. And as quickly as you can get yourself back in the game with wickets and tidy bowling, you can lose it with a couple of bad overs or even one bad over that goes to 15 or 16.
And this ground has that capacity, doesn't it?
Especially the hitting to this short side, the Eric Johnson Memorial scoreboard side of the ground. Squares up Daya Singh, who inside edges that, or outside edges was an appeal for a run out, but he was home, and Singh will collect the single.
Yeah, direct hit there by McMillan, but good running by Hawkins, smartly got down. It was close though, it certainly had some motor. If he'd been labouring down the pitch, he certainly would have been caught short.
Yeah, just enough to get home there, Caleb Hawkins.
You wouldn't have made that, Jack.
Yeah, I'm lightning between the wickets, Manners.
How'd you go yesterday?
Yeah, not too bad. Unfortunately, we went down. Pulled hard by Hawkins. You actually play in the St George District Comp, of course not at this level.
Did you battle bowl yesterday?
I did both yesterday. I kind of got the raw end of the deal, though. I got given out for 4 when I hit the pitch, and then I picked up a couple of wickets with the ball, so that was nice to get a couple. So
excellent.
Fortunately played a pretty good side, so we couldn't get the chocolates, but that's all right. It's fun to run around the sun for a few hours. Dicing clips to short fine leg, loses his balance a little bit and then gets up and goes again. So just trying to build something now, this pair, aren't they? Just trying to, a bit of tip and run, pick up the quick singles, maybe try and put the pressure back on the fielding side.
What format of cricket do you play?
So our competition, I think there's 14 rounds in the season, and this season it's split into 9 one-day games, so that's 30 overs per side, and then 5 two-day games, which is 50 overs over the course of 2 consecutive Saturdays. Hammered by Hawkins. What a shot, and what a way to bring up a 50. That was laced through square leg and went like a tracer bullet, and this is becoming a very important innings by Camden Hawkins. He played wonderfully in the final against Sydney University last summer, and this innings is right up there in terms of quality. He brings up 50 as they push towards 100 here. Randwick Petersham.
Lovely timing from Hawkins there, and beat the field easily.
Mackenzie, last ball of his over, and cutting away nicely, but straight to Moores at points. That will end the over, and it will be 4 for 96 after 13. Hawkins 51 from 40, Singh 2 from 3, but Camden Hawkins, he's starting to really make a name for himself at the top of the order in this T20 competition, isn't he? 2 50s in his last 3 bats. Unfortunately, kind of missed out a little bit in the last match, but he's made up for it with a really important innings here.
Yeah, and we've seen that the big bash clubs around the country are watching these competitions and looking for talent, so great stuff from Hawkins.
Moores continues and clipped nicely by Singh down to down to long on. And what he does over the next 6 overs, if he can bat for the next 6 and a bit overs, or whether he only bats for the next 2 or 3, becomes very, very important, I think, in the grand scheme of how this match pans out, or how the innings pans out for Randwick Petersham.
Yeah, most certainly. And I wonder if Hawkins will decide he'll be the player to go, and because he's faced 40 balls, he's past the half century, does he start to look for the boundary? Because Randwick Petersham have to do that soon, or do the hitters bat around him?
Well, they've got Bartier Ali, who's had a bit of success against St George in recent times.
It's a good ball from Moores.
He, of course, hit a couple of big sixes to win that conference semi-final at Coogee last summer.
That was a thriller.
It really was. He's a really good hitter of the ball, Bartier Ali. Ben Mitchell as well. Full toss and bunted back down the ground. It cannons into the stumps. Thankfully for the leg spinner, there would have been at least a couple. Caleb Phillips down there in front of us, the ACT product. He hasn't been given a bowl, the spinner, but we'll definitely see him with the bat at some stage today. Drop shot skied into the air. It's just going to evade. McMillan there at backward point. A bit of a fumble, but they won't be able to get back for a second. So one of the rare false shots there from Camden Hawkins. He gets it away from the point region to collect the single.
Moores, they just can't get after him.
Drop short and a little paddle around the corner. Hit that quite fine. Will be at least 2. Smart cricket there from Dyer Singh. And 2 to Singh, who's starting to warm to the task. He goes to a runner ball 5 now. And that brings up the 100 as well for Randwick Petersham, coming in 13.5 overs, or 83 balls. Run rate at 7.23. So kind of hovering between that 140, 150 mark, the projected score at the moment. Going back and pushing, so another good delivery by Moores. He has been really vital here. 2 overs of him, 2 for 6, 4 off that over. Hawkins 52, Singh 5, 14 gone. Randwick Petersham 4 for 100.
Another good over from Moores, just 4 runs conceded, 2 runs in his first, 4 in his second. 6 overs to go. They'd be looking for at least 150, you would imagine. Hawkins will be on strike for the start of the 15th over. Change of bowling.
I think it's Peter Francis has come back into the attack. Number 13 for St George. He's got none for 14 from his two overs so far. What can he serve up? Bowling to Camden Hawkins. Likes it coming onto the bat. Back and punching and slapping hard to a wide long off for the single. So it's done a pretty good job, Nick Stapleton, of transitioning through his bowlers, and the field placements have been pretty good to kind of strangle the runs in this second portion of the innings.
Yeah, as soon as the power play was over, just being able to protect some of the areas on the boundary, and the St George bowlers have bowled to their plans there, and we see at the moment there's 3 fielders in the deep on the onside, 2 on the offside, or they're bringing 1 more in, and they're dropping, so they're making changes. So fine leg's gone back to short fine leg's gone back to deep backward square. You've got a deep square leg, a long on, a regulation mid wicket. And now you've got a regulation mid-off, short cover, sweeper on the offside.
Singh hammering that one out through the covers, but the sweeper will cut it off and collect a single. There is a bit of a gap. It's obviously going to be very hard to find through that gully region, because you've got point and gully up on the offside. So you're able to get it over the top or get it through, get it past McMillan.
You don't often see 4 players only outside of the circle at this stage of the game, which was odd in for the last delivery.
It's back to 5 now as Francis steams in. Looks to paddle wide. does Hawkins. It comes off the face of the bat, but just ends up going on the leg side and collects a single. I guess that's the thing here for Randwick Petersham. If the big shots aren't coming, you've got to get a run off every ball, I think, at this stage. Whether that comes off a pad, glove, bat, however you do it, it's kind of tip and run stages now.
Hawkins just went a bit too early there. I think the bowler saw him and followed him, so in the end he couldn't use the pace to paddle it. He sort of almost blocked it from 3 feet outside off stump.
So 3 balls left in the 15th over, 4 for 103. Back and hammering. Oh, what a great piece of fielding that is from Caleb Phillips. Straight into the mitts, and was not going anywhere for the big number 35. An important dot ball here for St George.
Yeah, good aggressive tactics from St George and Stapleton, keeping the field quite tight, not allowing Singh to get off strike and bring Hawkins back on. It's good stuff from Stapleton, and he's been rewarded with some dot balls.
You feel they've probably got to go soon, Randwick Petersham, with 2 balls left in this over, then 5 remaining.
And now they drop mid-off back to long-off with 2 balls left in the over. You don't want to give away a boundary.
Singh digs ones out, wants the single. It's another dot ball. This is a good spell here, or good over from Francis.
Fine Yorker there. Tough to score off them. Maybe the Dill scoop might do that. Not an easy shot to pull off though. So 4 for 103. 1 ball left in this over. St George have come right back into this contest.
Yeah, if they could get 50 from the last 5, Randwick Petersham, it would set them up nicely, but that's a big if because St George are bowling really well. And flicked off the middle stump there by Singh out into the deep for a single, so he'll retain the strike. He goes to 7. Hawkins 54, another really miserly over by St George. He's got 3 overs, Francis none for 17. Randwick Petersham 4 for 104.
So the run rate has just dipped below 7 now. It's at 6.93 with 5 overs remaining. And since the 10th over, St George have only conceded 18 runs in the last 5 overs.
That's incredible. That is incredible.
Really good spell. And Josh Moores has been critical to that. And here he is, 2 for 6 so far. In again, drifts down leg side. Singh tried to help it on its way to the vacant fine leg region, but just came off the pad. Another dot ball. Miserly Moores, they're going to call him. In again, tosses up, and there's a big appeal. That looked pretty straight, but the umpire kept the arms by his side. But another dot ball. Singh, what can he do? Pressure's on him. Tossed up and worked to mid-wicket. That's 3 dot balls in a row, and we're seeing the value of good leg spin in T20 cricket here. Moore's lighting up the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. In again. And that's worked onto the onside for a single. Moore's got the Adam Zampa tennis ball haircut.
He's been incredible. To have just 7 runs hit off you, pick up 2 valuable wickets. He's really turned the game for St George.
Moores. Hawkins is back and hitting in the air. Long off's coming in and takes the catch, and that's Moore's 3rd wicket. And Hawkins goes for a well-made 54 of 46 deliveries. But Moores, he's in the wickets. 3 for 7 now.
Oh, he's on fire, isn't he? He just so difficult to get away. He's had really good control, really good variation as well. And Hawkins knew at this stage of the innings, only 4 overs remaining after this one. They had to go. It's a fine innings, and it's a shame that it ends on a note like that. But he has kind of anchored this side, and without his contribution, I think Randwick Petersham would be in absolute disarray. As it is, they're in an awkward position at 5 for 105. They've, for mine, got to try and get up around that 140 mark at least to try and challenge St George. But a lot of those quality men are gone, and it's putting pressure on some of this middle to lower order that has to come, and not easy playing up against a bowler that is in a richer vein of form at the moment.
Yeah, you're right. Someone needs to play a little cameo here and just give them a bit of a supercharge. Yes, you're right. It's Bassett Ali coming out to bat.
Well, he's not going to go down fighting. If there's anything a little bit short, a little bit wide, he's going to swing the arms for it. So it's there's going to be some fireworks. He's got a few balls to get himself in as well. He doesn't necessarily have to start swinging from ball one, but yeah, they need to have at least one big over, you feel, in these last 4 overs, Randwick.
Here's Moores. 3 wickets so far. In again. That's hit away on the onside and no power in that, but they get 1 run. And that's the end of the over. It's 5 for 106. A wicket and 2 runs conceded. Moores now the sterling figures of 3 for 8. Bassett Ali and Daya Singh out there. And they have the task of getting this Randwick Petersham innings moving again. The Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup champions have got stuck, all due to some fine bowling in the second 10-over allotment by St George, who were defeated at Coogee in the semi-final last year, so maybe looking for a bit of revenge here. Bassett Ali on strike. There's long on, deep mid-wicket, deep square leg, short fine leg, short third, backward point, cover, long off. He swings at that one and it could have clattered into the stumps, but it didn't, and there was a shy at the non-striker's end, but Bassett Ali's safe. If that was a direct hit, wouldn't have made it because he was back on his haunches swinging at that one.
That would have made Moore's day, wouldn't he? He's got 3 for 8 from 3 and then he gets a run out. But yeah, Bassett Ali, I think he's the right man to come in this situation. He's going to swing for the fences, and if he gets a bit of luck, he picks up a couple of boundaries or a couple of sixes, can really change the dynamic of the way this game's heading. But St George well on top here at the moment.
Good delivery, and that's hit into the onside for just a single by Singh. Hasn't really timed the ball since he came out, has he?
He's had similar trouble to Dan Sams and probably Anthony Sams. I think it's hard when you're trying to clobber the ball early when you come in, you don't have your timing. Because I think it is a very good batting pitch, but it's also a pitch that might just take you a little bit of time to get your timing and things right, because we've only seen a few players really time the ball consistently here this morning.
Craig Dobson pitches up, and that's hoiked to cow corner for a single. Yeah, I wonder if it's maybe a bit of a new ball wicket, that once the shine comes off the ball, maybe a little bit of pace is coming off the pitch.
Yeah,
a little bit slower.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Manners. Yeah, often it's hard to kind of judge what a wicket is like until probably the early period of the second innings.
Pitched up, and Singh digs that out for a single, and Phillips throws at the stumps. Van Tempest diving away. And now St George is hurrying through their overs.
I don't think they'll mind this though, because Ali and Singh are both going after them, but they're only getting 1 each ball. They've bowled a really good line of length, and Craig Dobson's making it really difficult.
And that's hit too long off for a single. Yeah, you're right. And when you're not conceding boundaries at this stage as a bowler, you're happy. So
yeah, you take 6 singles and over in this kind of situation.
In the 1980s, that was considered motoring along in 50-over cricket.
Yeah, it was. What, 200? 215 in a 50-over game?
They'll never get that, mate. They'll never get that under lights, Jack. Craig Thompson in, and Singh's tried to swing that away, and change of pace beat him, and this is great stuff. And the end of the 17th over, so it's 5 for 111, 5 singles conceded in that over.
And just the way the game can change, you have one bowler or a couple of bowlers that are able to peak the game back, like Moores has, and some of the other guys that have contributed with the ball for St George have. I think it just inspires some of the other players, because you're on top. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it doesn't matter where you bowl. The opposition finds it tough to score. You've got the momentum on your side, and we've kind of seen that with Craig Dobson only kind of going for 5 there, even despite his first 2 going for 18. So here's Moores to try and finish off what's been an impressive spell.
Oh, beats the bat of Singh there. Well, you're right. It's often talked about batting partnerships, but bowling partnerships can be just as important. Keeping the pressure on at both ends. Here's Moores again. Bassett Ali on strike. He's back and hitting that one into the onside to deep mid-wicket. Didn't time it. They get 1 run. So there's a deep square leg, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, deep cover, extra cover, point, short, fine leg and a mid-wicket. Here's Moores, last over of his spell. It's a full toss, and that is going to be 6. It's the first mistake Moores has made today, and Daya Singh made him pay. Hit it onto the bike track. It's bounced into the construction site.
Yeah, good luck getting
and,
that.
unless you've got a hard hat, I don't think we'll be getting that ball back. Building some nice facilities here at Hurstville over, and here's Caleb Phillips.
Be careful,
he's going to jump the fence, and he's in there. And he's gone to get the white ball. Excellent stuff. The gymnast as well as the cricketer Phillips scaled that fence, and now he's going to walk around now. And I think we're all relieved about that, Jack, because that fence not 100% stable.
No, not at all. A couple of other scores going on in the Sixers Conference. Menace, Sydney Creek Club are 2 for 140 against Sutherland. Saw Bethel make 62 at the moment. Doyle.
We've lost Phillips. Oh no, he's come back. He's popped out. Thought St George were going to lose a player there in the construction site. Here's Moores. Can he bounce back? That's quicker, flatter, and beats the bat. He does bounce back. Moores tosses up, and that's hit down the ground for a single. Now just 1 ball left in a Joshua Moore's spell. 3 for 16 so far. The pick of the bowlers. He's turned this match in his team's favour. Last ball. Bassett Ali on strike. He tosses up. It's in the air. Bartier's coming in. He's taken the catch. 4 for Moores. He takes a wicket with his last ball. 4 for 16 for the leg spinner. Randwick Petersham 6 for 119. St George on top.
What a beautiful ball there. Don't know if it's the smartest shot from Bassett Ali. You're facing a leg spinner that's destroyed your middle order. It's his last ball of the spell, but obviously at this stage of the innings trying to go for broke and just didn't quite get enough of it. And Bartier's been brilliant in the field, hasn't he? He's going to do some damage with the bat, you feel, later this afternoon, but that was a really smartly judged catch. Got underneath it and again takes it beautifully. So 4 wickets for Dobson, gets a really polite round of applause for what's been a really impressive 4 overs. And yes, St George, they're right on top here with only a couple of overs to go, and Randwick Petersham might even struggle to kind of make 130, 135 from here.
Oh, and a great spell. 4 for 16. You know, big bash franchises should be looking at Joshua Moores after this performance. You know, he bowls nice pace, nice variety, and in that 4 over spell he made 1 mistake, Jack, and that was in that last over, that full toss that was smoked away into the construction site. You know, 24 balls, just 1 mistake. That's really a professional spell. And 4 for 16. He can be very satisfied with his performance. Ryan Neenan comes to the crease. Former IPL player. Singh is on strike. 2 overs left. The score 6 for 119. 12 balls. The run rate 6.61. Singh swings at that one, doesn't time it, and they just get, well, they're looking at 2, but they're just kept to the 1 run.
Even though he hasn't been timing, I think there's some valuable runs here from Daya Singh. 18 from 21, with wickets kind of falling around him. He's kind of been the main constant. And it's the old adage of runs on the board. Yeah, they might only end up with 132 or 138, but that can be difficult to chase with a pitch that might have a little bit of wear and tear on it. And
Dan Sams,
you've got Dan Sams in your arsenal alongside some pretty handy bowlers with the likes of kind of Daya Singh and Jason Ralston and the likes. So Riley Eyre, another one.
Francis in. Neenan swings at that one. It's in the air, going straight down the ground. 6 runs onto the bike track. Boy, did Randwick Petersham need that. Neenan gets off the mark with a 6 off his first ball. And Caleb Phillips has gone for another little adventure, this time behind the Bill O'Reilly sight screen.
Yeah, that was a wonderful shot. Didn't try and hit it too hard, just kind of flowed through the line and just swung straight, and yeah, it just ballooned off the meat of the bat and sailed over the boundary down there in front of the Bill O'Reilly end of the ground for 6, and yeah, that's a really important strike by Ninan, and just gives a little bit of a mini boost here for Randwick Petersham.
Francis in. Short ball perhaps? No, pitched up, and Ninan just clubbed it to deep square leg. 6 for 127. Yeah, you speak about Randwick Petersham being able to defend this total. I mean, in the final last year, we thought maybe they were a bit short, but when it came to their bowling, they were just superb.
112 or something, didn't they?
Yeah, they constricted Sydney Uni. So, yeah, runs on the board can't be underestimated. If the pitch slows up a bit, we've seen, well, Sam's bowls terrific cutters. Here's Francis, pitched up and hit in the air along the ground for 1.
And if they could get to, say, 140, like if they could get a bonus boundary or a big hit here in the last over, you get to 140, again, it's one of those, I wouldn't say middling scores, but it's one of those scores that's kind of can be difficult to chase as well.
Especially if you start well with the ball and put that early pressure, all of a sudden the run rate climbs.
Yeah, if you got a couple of early wickets, I think kind of Stapleton, McDonald, Bartier, Phillips, the key in that top 6 for St George.
Ninan, what will he do? He swings at that one, and good fielding by Francis off his own bowling, and that's a precious dot. 6 for 128 at Hurstville Oval as Randwick Petersham looks to add a few boundaries to their total. 7 balls left. 12 runs for 140. As Jack Clifton, my co-commentator, said, that'd be a nice little target for them to set. Here's Francis. Pitches up again, and there's a big appeal, and that was a pretty easy decision for the umpire. Ninan hit plumb in front on the shoe, and Francis gets his first wicket. So he ends his spell 1 for 27.
Yeah, good finish there for Francis, full and straight, and even in the world of T20, that still gives you a pretty good degree of success, as knocks over Ninan, who came up with that big shots. That's valuable runs, but as it stands, St George know that the job with the ball, it's about 95% done, but they need to finish well here. The last thing you want is 14 or 15 leaked off that last over. Gives Randwick Petersham momentum heading into the sheds and kind of gets that score over 140. If they could have an over where they only concede 4 or 5 and find themselves chasing under 130, I think that's a bit of a psychological advantage to be chasing less than 7 and over. So let's see what can happen, as I think it's Ben Mitchell that's come out to join Daya Singh, who's 19 not out.
And Raphael McMillan will bowl the last over, so gutsy stuff from Stapleton to end with the spinner. Could get ugly. Mitchell at the non-striker's end, and that's hit to deep mid-wicket. Who takes the catch? Singh is out. So his innings comes to an end at 19 off 23 deliveries. McMillan gets the wicket. Simple catch in the outfield, but well done.
Yeah, it's tough when you hit into that long boundary. If he was hitting to that shorter side, it probably would have gone over the back of the grandstand. But yeah, you're hitting to a much longer side. Probably didn't get it right out of the middle. It was a well-judged catch, and McMillan, he's picked up his second. So 6 of the 8 wickets have fallen to spin. So does that potentially tell us a bit of a story for what Randwick Petersham might want to be doing when they get a chance to bowl with the likes of Connor Riley Aaron and maybe some part-time guys to get a chance to roll their arm over?
Well, we've seen Riley Air open the bowling for Randwick Petersham in the past in T20 cricket, and I think we might see that again here. And now, Randwick Petersham caught a bit short, and we see the umpires just keen to keep things moving here this morning. So 5 balls left. Ashley Burton comes to the middle. He'll be on strike, as we've discussed.
It's not a bad position for McMillan to be bowling here. They've got to go for runs, and there's a chance he could pick up a couple of wickets and finish with some pretty tidy figures.
He's bowling around the wicket now. Burton's first ball, and he's bowled him around the legs. Burton went across the crease, and McMillan is on a hat-trick.
They could get bowled all out of here. Randwick Petersham, he shuffles across Burton to give himself a bit of room, but the angle of the right armour coming around the wicket meant that it kind of came back towards him, and he seemed a bit bemused, did Ashley Burton, with his leg stump disturbed. And all of a sudden, yeah, he's on a hat-trick, and they're 9 down. Randwick Petersham, and McMillan backing up his 3 wickets last week with another 3 wickets here. He's got 6 on the season, and proving what a valuable asset he is to Stapleton and the rest of this St George setup.
And Randwick Petersham batters are scrambling. There's no one ready to come out.
There's only one person left, so...
and I don't know if we'll see, maybe perhaps... Will we see a timed out here, Jack? The umpires... looking concerned. We've got the teapots from the St George players, a few of them. And we can just see Burton wandering off slowly. Jason Ralston is the number 11. Here he comes. Here he running out there, football style. Don't fall down the steps. No, he's crossed.
He's made onto the field of play.
There we go. So, Raphael McMillan on a hat-trick. Don't go anywhere, because we might see a hat-trick this morning in the Kingsgrove Sports
T20 Cup. You've wanted to call a hat-trick for a long time, haven't you?
I've called a hat-trick with you before, I think. Or maybe not with you. It was Harry Manenti in the 50-over competition.
Right, yeah. On the T20 Cup, you're still searching for that, aren't you?
Yes. Jack Clifton famously has called 2 hat-tricks here from Mitchell Stark.
At this very ground.
I know. That I said here. I know. I keep track of all your work, Jack. All your famous calls get logged in the Manners Jack Clifton Library. All right.
Maybe Hurstville Oval's a destination for hat-tricks. Let's see.
Well, McMillan is going to bowl around the wicket. Jason Ralston on strike. Can we see a hat-trick to start off what is going to be a massive day of T20 cricket across the country? The World Cup, the WBBL starts here in the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. Here's McMillan on a hat-trick. Comes in, pitches up, and Ralston just digs it out and survives. 9 for 129. McMillan with 3 for 16 so far. Joshua Moore's a 4 for 16. The St George Tweakers have put on a show for their local fans. Ben Mitchell to face his first ball. He's been watching all this happen from the non-striker's end. They've got 3 balls left. What will he do? That's short, and it's hit in the air. And it's 4, I think. Yep. Just between the 2 fielders there. So you probably can't see it, but the St George skipper has got 3 fielders very close together, protecting the short pocket on the onside of the ground at sort of cow corner mid-wicket. There's only, 15 metres between the fielders there, Jack? Not even that. And they still found the gap, and a good ball from McMillan that's off the inside edge. They're coming back for 2. There could be a run out here, and there is. That is it. The innings is all over. Randwick Petersham finish all out for 134, dismissed with 1 ball left in the innings.
Is that hot much?
And that's it. St George will need 135 for the victory. Well, Jack, what do you think of this total? All out for 134, leaving the home side with 135 for the points in the Sydney Sixers conference. The bowling, dominated by Josh Moore's 4 for 16. Raphael McMillan, 3 for
20, I think
21. I think.
Yep.
3 for 21. So good stuff from him. 7 wickets between the spinners. Really good innings by Camden Hawkins for Randwick Petersham. Daya Singh with a little cameo there that anchored that part. But really, after the 10 over mark, it was all the home side. At the 10 over point, Randwick Petersham were 2 for 82. Daniel Sams was not out. I think you and I were thinking we could see a big total here.
8:52 since that.
Exactly. So
yeah, it was, I wouldn't exactly say, I hate using the word collapse because I think that puts more onus on the batting side. I think St George just bowled and fielded brilliantly. I think they should get a lot of credit. Nick Stapleton did a really good job rotating through his bowlers, mixing up his field placings, aggressive fields, but also protecting the boundaries. And outside of the innings from Caleb Hawkins, if he didn't kind of bat for that long and score that amount of runs, I think they would be in a lot of trouble. That said, they've got runs on the board. Sometimes a total like this where you're chasing 6.7, 6.8 runs per over can be difficult, so it'll be interesting to see what the methodology is for St George to come out. And I would say that Randwick Petersham, probably as strong as their batting is, I think their bowling is probably just as strong, and taking nothing away from St George, I don't know if they have someone kind of in their top order. I know he didn't score many runs, but like a Dan Sams or like an Anthony Sams, but I think the likes of kind of Caleb Phillips and your Luke Bartiers and your Blake McDonald, who actually is a very aggressive top order bat, they could be the keys. For Randwick Petersham, I think they need to focus on getting wickets early, especially in that power play, whereas if St George could be 50 or 60 after 6 overs and only a few wickets down, then they could march on to their first win in this T20 Cup. But we know how valuable it is to have runs on the board first, so we'll come back and see what transpires. Should be a cracking run chase.
yeah, most certainly. So we'll take a break here. We'll be back in about 10 minutes for the chase, and tune in then.
Well, this one's flicked beautifully off the hips. That's a magnificent shot. One bounce
Over the rope for 4, and they end the over in stylish fashion to under Muyeye, who and Kuji for the afternoon. Francis in and Hawkins easing that one. It's a good attempt by Caleb Phillips diving. He's pulling this one beautifully backward, a square leg for 4.
Yeah, forcing the St George skipper to make changes.
It's back and pulling that one beautifully. That's gone a long way. Crashes in to the bricks on the seating on the leg side, and that raced off the willow of Tawanda Muyeye, who is looking in fine touch here this morning at Hurstville Oval. And they're driving over the top. It's going to go straight to Phillips. It's a dolly of a catch. He makes no mistake, the talented all-rounder, and Stapleton does get the breakthrough. After Muyeye in that big 6, probably didn't need to try and replicate. Hawkins flicks this one beautifully. It's going to take a couple of bounces over the fence for 4. So he uses his feet nicely, gets to the pitch of the ball, and is able to flick through the line high and handsome over the infield for 4.
Sam's on strike. That short ball, that's hit in the air. Square legs running across. Good save. And they're coming back for 2. Good fielding by the man out there patrolling the boundary. Enzi steams in. Pitches up, and Sam slashes at that one, and it flies over the point region for 4. The score now 1 for 49 with 1 ball left in the power play. Sam's on strike. Tossed up and hit to long off. And good catch by Bartier. And that's a big wicket. The skipper's gone for 14 off 16 deliveries. McMillan gets his first wicket, continuing his excellent form from the first match. And Randwick Petersham are 2 for 59. Yeah, careful about that recently. He played a lot of baseball. Here's McMillan. Tossed up, and that's swung away on the onside. It's carrying, and I think it's one bouncing over the rope. Really nice shot by Hawkins. Lofted sweep.
Oh, Sam's clears that front leg. It's gone sky high down towards the boundary, and Bartier takes a big catch and a big wicket for St George. Josh Moore loves it. He beat Daniel Sams all end up with the first ball.
Yep.
Oh, Oh, Morse, that looks very close, and he's got him! 2 and over for the Saints, and they are up and about at Hurstville Oval. He's having a huge impact. Here is Josh Moores. He gets rid of Dan Sams. Hammered by Hawkins. What a shot, and what a way to bring up a 50. That was laced through square leg and went like a tracer bullet. And this is becoming a very important innings by Camden Hawkins. He played wonderfully in the final against Sydney University last summer, and this innings is right up that in, right up.
Moores. Hawkins is back and hitting in the air. Long off's coming in and takes the catch, and that's Moore's third wicket. And Hawkins goes for a well-made 54 of 46 deliveries. But Moores, he's in the wickets. 3 for 7 now. Moores. Hawkins is back and hitting in the air. Long off's coming in and takes the catch, and that's Moore's third wicket. And Hawkins goes for a well-made 54 of 46 deliveries. But Moores, he's in the wickets. 3 for 7 now. Fine leg and a mid-wicket. Here's Moores, last over of his spell. It's a full toss, and that is going to be 6. It's the first mistake Moores has made today, and Dayasing made him pay. Hit it onto the bike track. It's bounced into the construction site.
Yeah, good luck getting
and
that.
Unless you've got a hard hat, I don't think we'll be getting that ball back. Last ball. Bassidelli on strike. He tosses up. It's in the air. Bartier's coming in. He's taken the catch. 4 for Moores. He takes a wicket with his last ball. 4 for 16 for the leg spinner. Randwick Petersham 6 for 119. St George on top.
Here another one.
Francis in. Neenan swings at that one. It's in the air, going straight down the ground. 6 runs onto the bike track. Boy, did Randwick Petersham need that. Neenan gets off the mark with a 6 off his first ball.
Here another one.
Francis in. Neenan swings at that one. It's in the air, going straight down the ground. 6 runs onto the bike track. Boy, did Randwick Petersham need that. Neenan gets off the mark with a 6 off his first ball. Here's Francis. Pitches up again, and there's a big appeal, and that was a pretty easy decision for the umpire. Neenan hit plumb in front on the shoe, and Francis gets his first wicket. Mitchell on at the non-striker's end, and that's hit to deep mid-wicket, who takes the catch. Singh is out. So his innings comes to an end at 19 off 23 deliveries. McMillan gets the wicket.
With some pretty tidy figures.
He's bowling around the wicket now. Burton's first ball, and he's bowled him around the legs. Burton went across the crease, and McMillan is on a hat-trick. What will he do? That's short, and it's hit in the air, and it's 4, I think. Yep, just between the 2 fielders there. So
Oh, it's cringe. It's so weird. He starts talking. It's like, and Grills is just like, mate, it's just this mate. He's not the same. But the years catch him so long. Think about what he gets to his play. Yeah. The thought process is sort of verbal. It's like, it's like,
Right.
That was very late. You hit? I wasn't in the pocket, mate. In the pocket. Yeah, I was the real one. The real one. Yeah, one of the best.
Welcome back to Hurstville Oval for this Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup clash in the Sydney Sixers Conference. I'm Andrew Menzel. I'm joined here with Jack Clifton, and the St George batters are striding to the crease in pursuit of 135 for the points. Randwick Petersham will be defending the total, and they have Daniel Sams to open the bowling from the Bill O'Reilly sight screen end. Jack, we saw an up and down performance from Randwick Petersham with the bat, but they have runs on the board, 134 of them. And what can this St George opening pair do of...
I think it's McDonald and
McDonald will be
Bartier
on strike, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a terrible score either. You get a couple of early wickets, you're right in it, or you have a few overs where the opposition only scores 4 or 5 runs and they'll find themselves kind of behind the 8 ball, so to speak. So, yeah, I think they would have been disappointed. They probably feel like they're 15 or 20 runs short, or that's what it appears like as a neutral viewer us up here in the commentary booth. But that can all change very quickly. But conversely, if Blake McDonald, who a huge raps on, I think he's a wonderful opening batter, a top order batter. He's played a bit of New South Wales second 11 cricket. He's really aggressive, can really knock the bowlers off their leg. If he can get going, then we just never know. But Dan Sands the ball in hand, and this is going to be a nice little test for these St George batters early on.
And we just see the field for the power play. There's a short third, a gully, cover, extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, deep square leg, and a sweeper on the offside. Daniel Sams with the ball. Sydney Thunder star, IPL star, 100 star. McDonald on strike. Sams pitches up, and McDonald with a strange-looking attempted paddle, and Daniel Sams didn't look too thrilled with the lack of respect shown there from McDonald. Dot ball.
Yeah, certainly an unorthodox shot there from Blake early on.
We saw in the Randwick innings, the power play, they scored really well, 1 for 50 in their 6 overs, and I wonder if St George have just eyed up the same sort of figure, trying to get off to a good start while the field's up and the ball's coming onto the bat, just to make that chase a little bit easier. Here's Daniel Sams. Pitches up and not time to mid-off, no run. Good pace early from Sams. And we do see this Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup competition really rise in importance and prominence leading into the Big Bash. You'll see a lot of players come into teams looking to get T20 reps under their belt, and I think we'll see some really good cricket over the next few weeks with the coverage here on wherever you're watching, the Match Centre or KO Sports. Daniel Sams. Slow ball, and that's hit over mid-on by McDonald, and that's a nice shot. It's bouncing away, and that will be the first boundary of the innings. McDonald off the mark with a 4.
Yeah, it was a slow ball by Sams, and I think it was pretty well picked by Blake McDonald, but hit hard and handsome across the leg side. Plenty of power behind it, because that's the thing with a slow ball. He's not getting the normal pace of 135, 140 k's an hour from Dan Sams. So well struck by McDonald, and a good start to innings for him and St George.
Yeah, I do feel like there's a few batters around who've kind of worked out Daniel Sam's slower ball. Here he is again. That's a pace, bit more pace in that one.
Just a little bit.
He wasn't going to be hit over his head again for 4, and McDonald edges it onto his pad. No run. Yeah, I have felt, especially at the Big Bash level and in the IPL, a couple of batters have started to pick his slower ball, and you know what happens then, Jack, is he'll have another one. He'll have another one this year.
They're always working on it, aren't they? They're always working on their craft.
Quite a few ways you can go about the slower ball. Back of the hand, off cutter, leg cutter.
Yeah. And he's not playing park cricket. In park cricket, you can get away with just bowling a slower ball or just bowling a faster ball and no one picking it. But in the pros, he's going to have 2 or 3 to go to, I reckon.
Here he is again. That's a short ball, and that's hit through mid-wicket for 4. Really nice shot by McDonald. Would you say that's a half chance or a full chance?
Yeah, I'd say it's a half chance. Yeah, that was Ashley Burton there. He certainly got his hand to it. It's stinging. He took a bit of pace off it, but it shows you how well it was struck, man. It's that it kind of hit the top of the fingertips of Burton and still comfortably reached the boundary rope. So he's going to chance his arm here, Blake McDonald. Probably only has a couple of gears, and he's not going to die wondering here. He gets a quick fire 20 or 30. He puts Randwick Petersham right on the back foot.
Sams continues. Slow ball, and McDonald waited for it and pushed it into a extremely packed offside field, and that's the end of the first over. It's none for 8. 2 boundaries coming off Daniel Sam's opening salvo, and the chase is underway. The required rate now just 6.68.
Yeah, and it might be a bit of a plan for St George to try and take the attack to Dan Sams, because I've seen him play in the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup before, and the last thing you want to do is kind of let him get a couple of wickets, or even if he doesn't get any wickets, strangle you. Like 4 of your 20 overs are gone, and you've only scored 12 or 13. Like, I know it's a bit of a middling total, but you don't want to kind of soak up 4 overs with him, especially when there's some other bowlers like Riley Eyre that's going to open the bowling as well, and some of the other players that could potentially kind of put a strangle on the attempted run chase. So I like that from Blake McDonald, chancing his arm, but knowing that he wants to get St George on top. The run rate's 8 now, and that required rate's dropped to 6.68. So the more runs you get in this power play, and I think if you can take a decent chunk out of that total in the power play, then you're setting yourself up nicely for the rest of the innings.
Yeah, and then you can, I mean, if the run rate requires only around 6, 7 and over, you can just work the ball into the gaps, run hard, and you should get there. Now, Bartier will be facing his first ball, Riley Eyre, to open the bowling from the grandstand end, the left arm orthodox spinner. First ball, hits him on the pad, there's a big appeal. That looks very close, but the umpire does not raise the hand. The Premier Cricket sponsored by McDonald's. You see on the back of his shirt there. There's a long on and a deep mid wicket protecting the onside. Eyre in again. Tosses up and Bartier swings at that one, and it gets past everything. And we'll just wait for the signal.
I think it might be Byers.
Indeed.
I think it just came off the pads there of Anthony Sams and trickled away.
Agricultural shot from Bartier. Didn't make contact. Riley Eyre, accomplished left arm orthodox tweaker, made his debut against WA in the Marsh Sheffield Shield earlier this year when Tanveer Sangha got concussion midway through a match and Riley Eyre was parachuted in, so to speak. Here he is, McDonald on strike. Will he take him on? He does. He tries to swing him away, but it just comes off the bottom of the bat. In the gap, though, and it's running quickly towards the boundary, and they've saved it from going for 4, so they've just run 2, but that ball travelled very fast along the outfield.
Yeah, I thought they were kind of a bit casual there, Manners. I definitely think they could have taken a 3rd, but happy just with the couple of runs there.
Clifton slams George running between the wickets. Air around the wicket. Doesn't give that much air and beats McDonald. Good start from Riley Eyre.
And here's another one. These performances can kind of prick the ears up of the New South Wales selectors, get a chance to play some Shield cricket, Marsh One Day Cup as well, potentially.
Oh, that's hit away on the onside for 6. Huge hit from McDonald, moved across his stumps. There was no one at deep backward square, and he pinged it over the boundary for 6, sorry. Over the boundary for 6.
The same as wherever they push the boundary markers out if he's only got 4.
Yeah.
That was a magnificent shot. I love the shuffle across outside the off stump, gave himself room, and with a length ball on middle leg stump, that was hit beautifully. It really pinged and cracked off the bat.
Ooh.
And this has been an electric start.
Now Jason Ralston, dressed in green, has gone into a hedge looking for, and he found it. Great stuff
better
there.
him than me with my hay fever symptoms this morning, Manners.
He's done so well there, Jason. Good stuff. Ball comes back in. None for 17 with 1 ball left in the second over. McDonald, 16 off 9, is scored all the runs, putting on a bit of a show here. Now you've got deep mid-wicket and a long on the onside, packed offside field. Riley, what can he do? Outside off stump, and that's almost, it is played back onto his stumps. Riley gets McDonald. McDonald goes for 16 off 10. Air gets the breakthrough. A touch unlucky for the batter. St George, 1 for 17.
Yeah, that's a big blow. And he'll be disappointed with that. There was certainly an element of luck in it as he tried to thunder one through the offside and a thin little edge back onto the stumps, and he departs. So important breakthrough here for Randwick Petersham, and the spin works. What was it? Seven wickets fell in the Randwick Petersham innings due to spin, and now we've got 1 here. So 8 of the 11 have gone to the slow bowlers, as it looks like Phillips is going to be the next man to come out, the talented all-rounder to join Bartier out in the middle.
Very recognisable with his long blonde hair and ponytail, or bun, put it in a bun now. Yes, hairdressing styles are not my forte for those listening. I will not apologise for that. All right, Bartier is going to be on strike. Daniel Sams to continue. So we're in the power play, 4 overs left in the power play. No power surge in this competition for those that watch the WBBL and the BBL, just the conventional 6-over power play. All right, there's a mid-on, a deep mid-wicket that's quite straight, a deep forward square, a short, fine leg. You got a short third, gully, point, cover, mid-off, Sams, short ball, and Bartier is off the mark, turning that on the onside for a single. 1 for 18 here. Breeze is picking up here at Hurstville Oval. Coming across the ground, which could assist Riley with a little bit of drift from this end. Daniel Sams. Caleb Phillips to face his first ball. Bat raised. Waits. And defends onto the offside, and they're off for a single. Good cricket.
Yeah, it's what they need to do, St George. Just, pick up the singles, pick up the 1s and 2s here and there. Obviously, the power play helps you with only 2 fielders allowed out. But they're doing all right. The run rate's still above 8 and over. Required run rate's dropping to about 6.5, so it's nowhere near danger signs at the moment for the home side.
Bartier, bat raised as well. That's a short ball, and he turns it nicely behind square on the onside. Deep square leg is run around all the way to deep backward square, throws it in for 2. 1 for 21 now. Bartier moves on to 3. Daniel Sams, the bowler, his brother, the skipper and wicketkeeper Anthony Sams. Here he is, short ball, and it's smoked through the offside field. Doesn't beat deepish cover, and they get 1. Score now 1 for 22. Daniel Sams first really rose to prominence when he replaced Ben Stokes at Canterbury in New Zealand.
That's right, yep.
Ben Stokes slated to use Daniel Sams again. Pitched up and off the inside edge from Phillips and could easily have crashed into the stumps. Ben Stokes was due to play for Canterbury and then couldn't play because of the incident in Bristol, and Daniel Sams ended up getting the gig. Score 1 for 22, last ball of the third over. Daniel Sams now switching to around the wicket, so going to angle the ball with the left arm into the right-hander stumps. And that's played to mid-on, off the toe of the bat for a single by Phillips. The score 1 for 23 after 3 overs. At the same stage, Randwick Petersham for 1 for 27.
Yeah, so kind of fairly even when you look at the score comparisons. Outside of the McDonald dismissal, I think St George were pretty pleased with this start. They haven't been bogged down too much. They're picking up the singles, and Dan Sams has already occupied 2 of his 4 overs, and they've kind of been able to knock 14 off him, and he hasn't picked up a wicket yet. So I think they'll be pleased with this start so far. But let's see what Riley Eyre can do as he has a bit of a meeting with Daya Singh, the skipper.
Yeah, you feel that Randwick Petersham need to take wickets to really stay in this contest. If St George bat the overs out and don't lose too many wickets, then you think they will chase this target down pretty comfortably. Riley Eyre took a wicket with his last ball of his first over. Here he is again. Phillips is beaten again. He backed away and Eyre followed him. A lot of these batters are moving way too early today. I don't get it, Jack. The whole point is you don't move early because the bowler can follow you.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit of nerves. They're just really keen to get going in their innings. But, yeah, do tend to agree with you. They're probably playing their cards a little bit too early.
Eyre in again, and it's played into the offside. No run by Phillips. Nice change of pace from Eyre. Riley has no subtle changes of pace and flight. In again. Tosses up, and that's hit beautifully over mid-off for 4. A stylish off-drive by Phillips, right out of the textbook. And it's bounced away for 4.
Yeah, really nice. That's a difficult shot to play. Kind of not quite inside out, but having to play in that region. Used his feet nicely, got to the pitch of the ball. That's a nice shot from Caleb Phillips.
Yeah, full face of the bat. Didn't try and hit it too hard, and exquisite timing. Riley Eyre again around the wicket. Bit straighter, and it's a full ball play to long on for a single. They're thinking about 2, but never there. Mwawe doing the fielding.
Yeah, talented young player, Caleb Phillips, still only 21. Initially from North Nowra, down on the south coast of New South Wales.
Is he still on the ground staff here?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know he was when we were kind of doing these games last season.
Yep.
It's a pretty nice gig to have, I reckon.
Not too far to go for training. He's there, pitched up, and that's shanked to long on for a single by Bartier. He hasn't quite found his timing yet, Bartier. And I wonder if he'll try and do maybe a Camden Hawkins style innings and try and rotate the strike, anchor the innings and allow the sort of hitters to bat around him.
Well, at the moment, only chasing 6.4 runs per over. They probably don't need to be expansive.
Oh, that's that change of pace I was talking about. Quicker, flatter, outside off stump, and too good for Phillips. 1 for 31 after 4 overs.
Yeah, pretty decent campaign for Luke Bartier last summer in the T20 Cup, considering St George only made it to the first round of the playoffs. 97 runs, he picked up 4 wickets as well, so an all-round talent. And 416 runs and 13 wickets in all competitions last summer as well. So he's a key player in the top order. Wouldn't say he missed out against Manly. He made a bit of a start, 14 from 18 before being dismissed. So in the 2 games that they've played, their bowlers have probably done the job. They've restricted Randwick Petersham to 134 today, restricted to Manly to 139 last week. So maybe they learnt something in that run chase. They wouldn't want to let themselves down again and fall to an 0-2 start with 2 fairly manageable scores to chase down.
All right, Jason Ralston into the attack. Form run done, 19 player, pitches up, and it's driven beautifully through the offside for 4. by Bartier. I said last over he hadn't found his timing. Well, he's found it.
Yeah, it's a magnificent shot. Just a little bit full, a little bit of width given there by Ralston with his first ball, and he flowed through an elegant cover drive there to Bartier. And that's those are the kind of shots that can really kickstart your innings. It was wonderfully timed, and raced to the boundary there, and just continues to compound issues for Randwick Petersham as the runs continue to flow. 1 for 35 now in just the 5th over.
Ralston in again, the right arm quick. Short ball, and that's back and swung away to deep forward square leg for a single by Bartier.
You could hear the timing there as well as he rocked back, got in position quickly. Might have only picked up a run for it, but the timing has certainly come the last 2 balls. And the other thing to be aware of is they've now top-ended this over. They pick up a 4 and 1 for the first 2 balls, already 5 from it. When the required run rate's only 6.3, you can maybe pick up a couple more boundaries or a couple of 1s and a couple of 2s. You're setting yourself up nicely. So this is a decent start to an over that could be an important one in the scheme of this innings here for St George, with Bartier now having moved to double figures.
Ralston. That's again, Kyle Phillips tried to paddle that one to the vacant gap down at 3rd and didn't make contact. Well, hit his pads.
Yeah, I don't mind that though. It's something a little bit different, and they're going to make a field change straight away now to try and cut off that shot. If he'd got onto it, even if he hadn't timed it, he would have got at least 2, you think, through that region. So, yeah, I don't mind that little bit of unorthodox play, trying to play to the field that's been given to you by your opposition.
Ralston, shorter ball, and that's swung away to square leg for a single along the ground by Phillips.
They're being aggressive from St George's point of view, which is good. I like that. And sometimes when you get into this kind of position, you made a decent start, you can just kind of go into your shell, just look for the singles, but looking for those big shots as well with so many wickets left in the shed. So I'm liking the aggression, and even though it's not always coming off Menas, the intent is certainly there from both batters.
Yeah, you don't want to let the game drift. You want to be proactive, and with 8 balls left in the power play, if you pick up a couple of boundaries like that, just working away beautifully past short fine leg for a boundary by Bartier. The score now into the 40s, 1 for 41. If they can just find the boundary between now and the end of the power play, then will make the rest of the chase pretty comfortable.
And when you look at the competition table as well, obviously the win is first and foremost. That's the most important thing. But if you can chase down a score in 16 or 17 overs, that really substantially helps your net run rate. I know there's a lot of talk about that with the T20 World Cup at the moment, so that becomes important in the latter stage of this competition as well.
Ralston pitches up and driven to the sweeper on the offside by Bartier. He will retain the strike for the next over. He goes to 15 off 10 deliveries to score 1 for 42 after 5 overs, and now St George have edged past Randwick Petersham in the comparison. They're 1 for 42 after 5 overs, and Randwick were 1 for 40 at the same stage.
Yeah, good start. Phillips 8 from 10, Bartier 15 from 10. Partnership with 25 as they've really taken a decent chunk out of this required total. Under 100 needed now. 93 required for the next 15 overs at only 6.2 and over. So saying they're doing it in a canter, but they're looking pretty good at the moment. And we're going to see a change in the bowling, and it's Ryan Ninnan who's going to come in. It's another slow bowl option, which has seen a fair bit of success for both St George and Randwick Petersham. Let's see what he can dish up to Bartier. Is the last over of the power play as well. After picking up 11 off Ralston's first over, does have them well ahead in this game. Randwick Petersham, they need wickets. They need them quickly. Ninnan around the wicket, and this ball is a little inside edge on the leg side, going for that big booming shot to the short boundary over mid-wicket. It isn't able to connect with great conviction, Bartier. And he sweeps nicely, and a stumbling, falling effort there from Ashley Burton cuts off any more runs that would have been collected if it got past him. A single to Bartier, moves to 16, 1 for 43. So some field movements, some shifting. Muyeye has moved over just to long on in front of us. Back and looking to slug down the ground is Phillips. So just taking the pace off at Ninan, varying his lengths and his speeds. Just the one run off his first 3 balls. Lovely conditions here at Hurstville, sun shining, nice and warm. Bit of breeze pushing across the field as well. Phillips drives, punches down to long on, collects a single. So Ninan's done a really good job here in the last over of the power play.
We mentioned before that he played in the IPL when it first started. Played first-class cricket. 2 balls left in the power play. Will Bartier take him on?
He does. He slaps that one hard and straight. There's a shy. At the stumps is a direct hit. And the umpire was in a great position. He says not out. Phillips just home. And 1 to the total. 1 for 45 now.
Yeah, terrific pick up and throw there from Riley Eyre. But in the end, the batters were too quick. Last ball of the power play.
They've got protection down the ground at mid-on with Muyeye. And they've also got the man at deep mid-wicket. Phillips gets away, punches beautifully, but a lovely piece of fielding. I think there might have been Ralston out there. No, it was Ben Mitchell. Makes a lovely diving stop, and that's a great way to end the power play. So maybe the shift in momentum is just starting to happen. 3 runs from that last over. Phillips 9, Bartier 17, and 6 gone, Andrew Menzel. And St George 1 for 45 in pursuit of 135.
See Daya Singh to come on from the Bill O'Reilly stand end. Up the back here at Hurstville over, there's a beautiful board that has all the Australian players that have come through the St George Cricket Club, and it's a pretty good list of names that have come through this club to play for Australia. I think when I go through the list during this over between balls, you're going to recognise some of these names.
Yeah, I think you're kind of smacked with the history when you walk into this ground, and you walk into the room just adjacent to our broadcast position. Some of the players that have represented Australia, but also some of the players in recent years, like Curtis Patterson and Trent Copeland, have done so well for New South Wales in first-class cricket. Here's the skipper, Daya Singh. And it's slapped down to long off for a single by Bartier.
So first name on this list of Australian players that have come from St George, little known player called Don Bradman, I think it is. Played for St George before heading across to South Australia when he was offered a job. So I don't know, is that worse than the Red Sox trading Babe Ruth to the Yankees? Maybe. It's on par, that's for sure.
Advances to Phillips, but he's forced to defend a short of length ball by Daya Singh.
How did someone in New South Wales not offer him a job?
Yeah, I know.
How can you let Bradman go? It's not talked about enough. 100 years later. Right, second name on that list, Alan Fairfax. Average of over 50 in Test cricket with the bat. Played 10 tests.
Phillips waits for Singh to deliver. Shorten the pads and flicked away nicely to deep mid-wicket for just a single.
Number 3 on the list, Bill O'Reilly. Of course, the sight screen named after him. One of the very best leg spinners to ever play the game. A prominent figure after retirement. A massive figure in Australian cricket. Don't know if he and Don Bradman always saw eye to eye on everything.
So switching back to around the wicket now to Bartier, who drives, and a bit of a misfield by Singh, but got enough of it to another single. So pulling back nicely his last couple of overs.
Right, next player on this list, Arthur Morris. Famously was at the non-strikers end when Bradman was dismissed for a duck in his final test match, and he's often asked, were you there when Bradman was out for a duck? And he goes, yeah, I scored 190 odd at the other end.
Yeah, he was a wonderful player, wasn't he? Magnificent technique. Short and wide cut, it would have been a great catch by Muyeye. He couldn't get there. And it's a boundary for St George. They needed that because the clamps have been put on well and truly in the last couple of overs. But Bartier frees the arms, just gets it away from Dewanda Muyeye.
That brings up the 50.
Important milestone for St George to just continue to keep their foot on the throat of Randwick Petersham here at Hurstville Oval. Jack Clifton and Andrew Menzel in commentary for you here on the KO Sports Match of the Day. Good length there and just forced to defend that one out into the backward point region. So end of the over. Not a bad one for either side, really. 6 coming from Daya Singh's first over. Phillips is 10 from 15. Bartier 22 from 17. 7 gone. The Saints are 1 for 51.
And at the same stage, Randwick Petersham were 1 for 56. All right, continuing with this cavalcade of stars. Ray Lindwall came from this club as well. Famous combination of Lindwall and Miller after the war, bowling to the Poms.
Well, no, I need to stop you there because Ray Lindwall, he played first grade for the mighty St George Dragons. You know I'm a Dragons fan. I always managed to get a reference in when we were here
in rugby league.
In rugby league,
yes.
His brother Jack was a wonderful fullback that played a lot of first grade games for St George. Won the 1941 Premiership, I think, against Eastern Suburbs. Your boys. But yeah, Ray a magnificent all-round sportsman and a fantastic cricketer. We've produced some pretty good ones, Australia, haven't we, in the last 60 or 70 years? And he was right up there, an incredible fast bowler.
Next one, Bill Watson. Test player came from this club. And then one of my personal favourites, Norman O'Neill. Wonderful right-handed batter for Australia and New South Wales.
Then in with a full toss and swept away, and they'll collect the single, St George.
Norm O'Neill played in the Tide Test. He was a brilliant, powerful batter. Loved the hard wickets of Australia. I was fortunate enough to do a lot of cricket coaching with him before he sadly passed away, but a terrific player for New South Wales and Australia.
And then back over the wicket. It's well launched straight back at Ninnan. It was self-preservation at its finest there as he got his hands up. It deflected away. Don't know if you can call that a chance because that went flat and hard and hit like a tracer bullet by Caleb Phillips.
Yeah, you're right. Self-preservation there from Ninnan. That was hit so well and palmed it away. Bartier on strike.
Back and pulling hard out into the deep, and it bounces just over the rope for 6. Nice shot by Bartier, just a little bit short of length there from Ninnan, and they gave him the chance to swing hard across the line and get it just over the boundary rope for 6. So the Fivers continuing with this pair. It's exciting stuff at the moment, but the Saints are now well and truly on top, 1 for 60 in the 8th over.
That run rate required just a touch over 6 now.
And Bartier hammers this one down the ground, not quite as well struck as the previous ball, but able to collect the single. He's 30 off just 20 now, Luke Bartier, so this has been really important innings, along with that little salvo at the top from Blake McDonald of 16 from 10.
Next test player to come from here, Brian Booth, another famous name in Australian cricket.
Slow ball that just altered his length and took a little bit of pace off it. They collect the single. So pretty good ones. There's almost overthrows. They'll pick up 11 off Ninnan's second over. He's got none for 14 from 2 overs. And they need something to change Randwick Petersham, don't they? At the moment, St George have almost knocked off half of the runs. They're 1 for 62 after 8. Required run rate just a tick above 6 runs per over, with Phillips on 13 and Bartier on 30.
Now, we've got a trio of spinners to come from St George Cricket Club to play for Australia. The first one of the more reserved characters in Australian cricket, Kerry O'Keefe, came from St George. I'm sure he lit up this clubhouse a few times. You can imagine him.
Yeah, that's right.
Spinning a few yarns after bowling a few overs out here to be tough ground for spinners. Then Murray Bennett. Fans of the late 70s and early 80s cricket all remember Murray Bennett, the finger spinner. Then SCG McGill. They've got his name wrong here. There's no A.
So we're going to see a change in the bowling. Ben Mitchell's going to come into the attack from the Bill O'Reilly end of the ground, hoping to get a breakthrough and maybe change the momentum. Looks forward and defending for no run.
I'm going to finish this list. Still going. Stuart McGill, obviously terrific leg spinner. Then Trent Copeland, who still going around. Not quite in the blue starting 11 at the moment.
Got a half century yesterday for St George.
Yeah, more likely to see him on the telly.
Yeah, that's right.
Moses Enriquez.
Tries to launch this one, not out of the middle. It squirts just outside the circle for the single.
Yeah, Moses Enriquez came from here. Obviously, test player, white ball star, Sydney Sixers captain.
Yeah, grew
all
up
round great bloke.
Grew up at Peakhurst, just not too far from where we are at Hurstville. So born and bred St George boy. I know you're going to read Curtis Patterson next, aren't you?
No, I'm not going to forget Josh Hazelwood in between. He's done all right.
He's done very well.
Yeah, Josh Hazelwood, another St George player. You wouldn't see him playing grade cricket much now.
Defended onto the offside by Bartier. So decent start here from Mitchell.
Hazelwood, now the best T20 bowler in the world by the rankings. He's fantastic test bowler. Just, I feel, you know, with he and Cummins, you know, about our best all-round bowlers in the country.
Mitchell charges in once more. Whips nicely off the hip. He's taking a bit of pace when he played that shot. Did Bartier wanted a second run, but he was deterred with the call from Phillips at the striker's end.
And so their last test player is Jack Tees, Curtis Patterson, current New South Wales Sheffield Shield skipper. At 144 on test debut versus Sri Lanka at Manica Oval. Hasn't played since, so has the highest average in test cricket history at the moment.
Back and nudging that nicely was Phillips into the gap. Bit of a misfield. That's it, won't cost the Randwick Petersham side. So 3 runs from the first 5 balls. So this has been impressive bowling here from Ben Mitchell. Point Grey Shield representative of Randwick Petersham, the under-21 competition. All-rounder, he actually bats the top of the order for the Point of Grey side, but has been batting down the lower order in these T20 games for Randwick Petersham. All-round talent. No small cut in the air. It kind of ballooned its way down to long off. So a single. So 4 off Mitchell's first. They pull it back just a tiny bit here, Randwick Petersham. And after 9 overs, 1 for 66, Bartier's moved to 32 of 23 balls, and Phillips kind of anchoring the partnership at the moment, 15 from 21. That partnership is worth 49 for the second wicket for the Saints.
That run rate required just over 6 and over, 6.27. Phillips on 15, Bartier 32. Randwick Petersham need wickets. Now they're swinging the bowling around. Jason Ralston's going to take up the attack from the grandstand end. And that was 15 players that have played for St George and gone on to play Test cricket for Australia. Pretty handy squad, actually, that 15.
Yeah. Wouldn't want to be facing them, although I'd love to commentate them.
I mean, you look at the bowling attack. Lindwall opening the bowling with Hazelwood and Tiger O'Reilly, your first change. Murray Bennett and Kerry O'Keefe next. Right, here's Ralston. Spread the field for him.
And his first over went for 11. Can he bounce back here, the right armour? He can't. It's a wide first up. So struggling with just a bit of rhythm. The tall right arm. Quick played Australian under-19s. He famously destroyed PNG early in that under-19 World Cup a little while ago, where he collected 7 for 15. He's an important player in this Randwick Petersham setup in all 3 formats. They need him to be at his best here, though. The full toss bunted down to long off for the single. So they've got past the halfway mark now. They're 1 for 68 in pursuit of 135.
51 run partnership for these two after the early wicket.
Although we're not going to get any rain, the Duckworth-Lewis par does kind of show how the innings and how the chase is tracking. It's 58 at the end of this over, assuming they don't lose any more wickets, and they're already at 68, St George, so kind of in a great position at the moment. Phillips clips uppishly to the outer circle. They'll come back for a second. That was well timed and well played. So already turning out to be quite a good over here for St George. 4 off the first 2 legitimate balls.
Did you see in the England v Ireland T20 World Cup game where Ireland got the upset? There was Duckworth, Lewis, Stern, and England had gone past the total that they would have needed at the end of 5 overs, but the game didn't make 5 overs, so they didn't get the win.
Driven expansive. That's a magnificent shot. I reckon that's a shot of the day. Caleb Phillips showing all the class and all the timing in the world there as he just rocked forward and punched it beautifully out through extra cover for 4. And St George, they are motoring here at Hurstville Oval.
Yeah, exquisite shot through the offside. All timing, grace, elegance. Not quite the brutality you normally associate with T20 cricket.
Phillips has moved along to a very handy 21 now. On the pads, that should be a wide. No. Maybe umpire saying he kind of shuffled across in his normal standing position.
And we've seen just in the last week with Virat Kohli playing that superb innings at the MCG that T20 cricket is not always about slogging and, you know, laps. You can play the classical cricket shots. You know, you just got to find the gap. And we saw that this over from Phillips.
Backs away and drives firmly down to long off. So another run to the total. And I guess St George are in this kind of position now, Manners, where they don't really need to overplay their hand. The required run rate's lower than 6 and over at the moment, so they don't need to be hitting 4s and 6s every couple of overs. They can ease the 1s and 2s, and the pressure's on Randwick Petersham now.
Yeah, Randwick Petersham need wickets. They need to break this excellent partnership.
Another wide ball, and that will go down as a wide. So this is turning out to be a pretty disastrous first couple of overs for Jason Rawlston. His first went for 11. This over's gone for 9. There's still 1 ball remaining in the over with St George at 1 for 76. Turning point, certainly the second half of the innings. Let's not forget, Randwick Petersham were 2 for 82 after 10, so kind of 6 runs ahead of where St George currently are. Rawlston is put it high. Oh, that's sailing over the boundary for a massive 6. That is some strike from Luke Bartier, who is playing a brilliant innings here at Hurstville Oval this afternoon. He races to 39 with the biggest 6 of the day. It's broken the scoreboard, that's how high it went. And after 10 overs, St George do pull themselves level with what Randwick Petersham were after 10. They're 1 for 82. Phillips 22 from 25. And Luke Bartier, an exciting 39 from 25, Andrew Menzel.
Well, a terrific shot. That sailed over the grandstand. I'm surprised it didn't end up on Dora Avenue behind us there, in with the traffic. That was beautifully played by Bartier. 39 off 25 deliveries. He's giving this innings the momentum it needs. Phillips just playing nicely, calmly at the other end. He's 22 off 25. And now, with 10 overs to go, the run rate required just 5.3. 53 runs required. Even my maths can work that out. Dacing into the attack. Bowls, and that's a wide down leg side.
They've lost their way here, Randwick Petersham, haven't they?
Yeah.
It kind of looks like they've had the stuffing knocked out of them. A couple of wides, a couple of big shots by St George. You look up that scoreboard, you see the required run rate's only 5.2. As a bowler, as a fielder, it can just kind of give you a little bit of a lack of confidence.
Yeah, I feel it might be the time to bring Daniel Sams back into the attack and just try to throw the haymaker. If he can come on and knock a couple over, it could blow this game open. Here's Singh again from the Bill O'Reilly side screen end. Shorter ball again, pushed down leg side, again a wide. That's 2 wides to start this over.
Well, there's no point having Daniel Sams have an over or 2 left for later in the innings if you're not going to get to that point of the match. So yeah, I'm all ears for those kinds of suggestions. But at the moment, they've been 4 wides in the last kind of 6 or 7 balls from Randwick Petersham. So they kind of lost their way, and this partnership has really taken any ascendancy they had when they removed Blake McDonald early on.
Singh, better ball and just squirts away on the onside for a single. Phillips moves to 23 now. The score 1 for 85. This partnership now up to 68 runs. Bartier will be on strike after just launching one over the grandstand here. Stylish left-hander in the mould of an Arthur Morris, who I mentioned before. Singh around the wicket, wide and not timed by Bartier. He throws his head back in disappointment because there's a big gap between the sweeper on the offside and long off, but he couldn't get past cover. Dot ball. Beautiful gardens are on one side of Hurstville Oval, and then on the other side some playgrounds that are pretty sparse at the moment. Singh in and swung away on the onside. The deep square leg comes in off the boundary. Good throw, just keeps it to 1.
People at the beach say, man, that's why we don't have time to be playing on the play equipment. It's a beautiful day. I don't know how many more we're going to get of these in Sydney, so anytime there's blue sky and the sun's out, I think people are going to be out enjoying themselves.
Yep. It's a beautiful day here. A lot of rain around the country, but spared today. Here's Singh. Just worked on the onside. Thinking of 2, but it was never on. 1 for 87. The Australian Devils number in cricket. If you're superstitious, now's the time to maybe raise your feet off the ground. Hop on one leg, as David Shepherd used to do on Nelson. Bartier on strike. 10 away from a 50, 40 off 27. Singh. Wide and played again to cover. Better ball from Singh. It's 12:22 local time in Sydney. Hope you're enjoying the coverage of the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. It's been one of the great initiatives to come out of New South Wales Cricket and Sport Radar in the last 3 seasons, covering more of the fine New South Wales Premier Cricket. That's pitched up and hit down the ground, mid-off coming around. Good fielding. One hand stuck out, saved the boundary, and they get 2. That takes the score to 1 for 89, and Bartier moves to 42.
Yeah, good shot again. Firmly struck down the ground, picked out the gap in front of those 2 players in the deep. And good running, they're able to get through for a couple.
Yeah, 7 runs without really having to do much in that over. A couple of wides and turned the strike over, and that's well ahead of the required run rate, which is now just 5.11. 9 overs left. Randwick Petersham, the defending champs, need to do something. The home support is looking quite content with the situation. Beautiful seating area here where there's the some grass and a little bit of an amphitheatre style to sit and watch. I've been here for some WBBL games that have had big crowds in, and it is a beautiful place to watch cricket. So Neenan to continue. Phillips on strike. Pushing to the field and no run. Long on, long off. Waiting for something, and it spins back in towards the batter, and he worked it to mid-wicket. Just 1 run. 1 for 90 now. It's been a fine display from the St George team today. They restricted Randwick Petersham, especially in their last 10 overs where they kept them to 8 for 52. That's 8 wickets for 52 runs. That's hit over the top of long on for 6. Bartier has smashed that one. It's hit straight towards the bar. And now they're looking for it. Oh, what a shot from Bartier. He's starting to really open up. He's looking in fine form. That's 2 sixes in 2 overs off Neenan, and he's just 2 runs away from a half century. Fine shot.
Yeah, some strike. He's got some power behind him, doesn't he, Luke Bartier? That was timing and power. He's gone to 48 from just 30, and they're having some fun out here, the St George boys.
Neenan in again, tosses up again, and that's 6 more. And he goes to 50 with a 6. 54 off 31 deliveries. 2 sixes in a row. Neenan floated that one up, trying to tempt him again, and he's dispatched it over long on.
Yeah, you feel as if they're pretty keen to keep this going, St George, aren't they? They would like to wrap this up as quickly as they can. Already up to 102 in just the 12th over, and this has been a wonderful innings by Luke Bartier. We've probably seen glimpses of it, I think, when we've covered a fair few St George games in the last couple of seasons. We'll see him kind of get to a quick fire 15 or 18 or get to a 20 odd, but we haven't seen an innings like this from him, and he's always had that ability at the top of the order to rotate things, push the ones and twos, but also has those power shots down the ground. And there's, I don't want to say minimal risk, but there's a lot of risk hitting down there because it's just such a short hit when you're hitting straight. Much greater chance of it hitting the full blade, and I think a few little refreshments being run out to the boys in the middle. That this partnership has completely taken any ascendancy that Randwick Petersham had away from them, and still looking for the ball manners. Oh, here it comes.
I didn't see where they found it. I wonder what the instructions are for the batters. They brought the drink out. I wonder if the instruction is, and you touched on it earlier, net run rate. Keep going, boys. Let's try and finish this one and give our net run rate a huge boost, because it can be the difference between making the knockout stage and not. And Bartier, the way he's seeing them, they could finish this in a few overs.
And only 33 required as well.
Tossed up again, and he didn't go for the hat trick of sixes, just nudged it to long on, and he moves along to 55 off 32 deliveries. I thought he might take the bait there.
Nah, that was smart cricket. That was it was good cricket all round, really. Neenan trying to tempt him again, but Bartier equal to the task. It's nudging it down the ground for the single. Well played.
Yeah, he dangled the carrot, Neenan, and cost him 2 sixes and then a single. Tossed up again and pushed down the grounds. Phillips playing the calm, measured role at the non-striker's end, allowing Bartier the freedom to open his arms. It's 1 for 104 after 12 overs, and at the same stage, Randwick were 4 for 88, and that was the over. Josh Moores took 2 wickets in his fine spell of 4 for 16, and that's really where the game turned.
Yeah, he turned the game quite literally with some really good leg spin. I'm going to see Dan Sands back in the attack, so they've heard your manners. I like this move, and I think he could be someone that, even though they don't have too many runs to play with, might just be able to put a little bit of doubt into the mind. St George top order.
That's right. Randwick Petersham need wickets if they're to have any chance of pulling this game out from this, what seems like a dire situation. Caleb Phillips is on strike, so there's a short third, backward point, sweeper on the offside, cover mid-off, regulation mid-on, and then 3 on the onside, protecting the boundary. It's a short ball, and Phillips just turns it into the onside. Mwawe does the fielding. 1 run brings the dasher, Bartier, back onto strike. Now, does he have the same sort of courageous intent against Sams as he does against the other bowlers? Let's see. This could be an intriguing battle. Does Bartier think about ending this in the next couple of overs and boosting his net run rate and getting his Sunday lunch into him a little bit earlier?
That's right.
Sunday roast, perhaps. Cameraman's obviously hungry because he's nodding his head. Sam's in again. Short ball, and Bartier just defends off the inside edge, no run. Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup quite often is played in the afternoon on Sunday, but because of all the cricket coming later today, the WBBL and the T20 World Cup, it's a morning fixture. Sam's in, and that's down leg side for a wide. Daniel Sams was pretty close to the Australian T20 World Cup squad. Played in some of the warm-up games. Went over to Perth with the team. So he's one of the very best T20 cricketers
he's a fantastic
in Australia.
player.
I mean, he's got it all. Great bowler, gun in the field, and you add to that explosive power hitting. What an asset he is to T20 sides all around the world. Terrific attitude, works hard, good team player. Here he is. Bowled him! Bartier's tried to swing that away on the onside, and it's cannoned into the off stump. I think he got a little edge on that. Sams gets a wicket, and Bartier goes for a beautifully made half century.
Yeah, well deserved. That's a full delivery, and he probably wasn't there to play that shot from Bartier, but he's done his job with a really wonderful 50. Excited the crowd with a couple of really big sixes, and virtually put St George on the doorstep of victory in this rescheduled round 1 clash. So he'll get the applause for a fine innings, but Dan Sams showing his class, picking up his first wicket.
And the home crowd and his teammates give him a warm round of applause as he heads up the steps and into the dressing room. Fine performance. Bartier, Moores and McMillan have put on a show for this home crowd. And the skipper, Nick Stapleton, joins Caleb Phillips. They'll be looking just to finish this game off with no hiccups, no more wickets. 29 runs required. Sam's going to switch to around the wicket. Just bring the field in a little to the new batter. Trying to keep Stapleton on strike. Here's Sams. Defended, no run. Well, we hear one, wasn't it? Which of the St George players scored that amazing double 100?
Yeah, I think it was the previous day. Yeah, we'll hear the day after. I think it was.
I'm putting you on the spot here.
You are.
But I remember last time we were out here, that was all the talk. Here's Sams. Defended again.
Is it Andrew Rich? Yeah, maybe. Might have been Andrew Ritchie that got a double century, I think, batting down like number 8 or something.
Yeah.
Something remarkable. It was a double century yesterday in the Belvedere Cup. Peter Forrest, former Australian international, played a few one-days. New South Wales and Queensland rep, scored a double century off 213 balls. Mossman scored a phenomenal 521 yesterday in their clash against Blacktown, I believe.
Sam's in and pushed into the offside. Stapleton's off the mark. Well, that's a long day in the field, isn't it?
Yeah. And then they had to bat. They found themselves 1 for 9, I think it's.
Oh no, that was always the worst as an opening batter. You've toiled and it's hot, and then you get out there and face a few before you go home.
Yeah.
2 for 107 after 13 overs. And this match heading St George's way. They just need 4 runs and over. They're going along at 8.23. Riley Eyre, I think, coming back into the attack.
Yeah, it's a good option. He's picked up a wicket so far. Yeah, you may as well go with the slower bowler. They've had a fair bit of success today.
They've dismissed Bartier, who was pretty keen on taking on the bowlers. I wonder if Phillips and Stapleton will be a bit more sedate and just work the ball around.
Yeah, I think you might be right. They might just be happy just to knock the ball around the park and pick up the 1s and 2s and just kind of canter to victory in the next 4 or 5 overs.
Just playing a full ball off the back foot there. Stapleton, no run. I think beat him in flight there. Tossed up and worked along on for a single. Yeah. Hops, steps, and Phillips just works to backward point, no run. This is a good over from Air. Just 1 run conceded so far. Will Phillips take him on? He backed away and again too early because Air just followed him and he didn't get the width he was after there, Phillips. Air. Flat and push back to the bowler. Really good over from Air, just conceding 1 run with 1 ball left. If he can get out of this over with maybe just another single, it's good stuff. Phillips. Push to cover, no run. That Bastard Ali or Dayaz Singh has made a meal of that one. I can't quite see the shirt number.
Singh, I think.
But that's the end of a great over from Riley Air. Just conceded 1 run, scored 2 for 108. And I do think you've got to be careful if you're the chasing side to not let teams get away with overs like that, Jack.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good bowling. All credit to the bowler. There was certainly some intent from the batters, but all of a sudden you string 2 or 3 of those together.
Yeah,
and
that's right. You pick up a wicket here or there. The
new batter comes out, the run rate goes up a bit. Right, the 15th over to be bowled by Daniel Sams. It's his last over of his allotted 4 overs. He's bowling around the wicket to Stapleton. Shorter ball and just worked into the gap on the offside for a single. Draws warm applause from his teammates who are counting down every run now for their first win of the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup competition this year. Sydney Sixers conference here. Phillips, stylish looking batter. Defends and they take off for a single. Phillips on to 28 of 36 balls. Measured innings, calm innings. I would say a composed innings as well, Jack.
Yeah, it has been. He hasn't tried to overplay his hand. He's known what his roles have been in the different partnerships he's been a part of, and pushed the gaps nicely, run well between the wickets. It's been an impressive innings. He's kind of been the anchor in this middle order for St George.
The skipper on strike. Sams. Drifts down leg and that'll be a wide, one feels. No. Did that flick the thigh pad?
No, I don't think so. I think some of the wide calls have probably been a bit inconsistent. There's been a few down the leg side that haven't been given. He shuffled across a little bit there, Stapleton, but I still thought the angle was well wide of the leg stump. I thought that should have been a wide.
Sams. Short ball, that's hit over mid-wicket. They're taking 1. That's all they'll get. Stapleton, 4 off 8 deliveries. Just slowing things down a bit since he's got out there. Brings Phillips back onto strike. Oh, it's Nelson now, 2 for 111. So that is David Shepherd's hopping on one leg at square leg when he used to umpire. Sams. Again, a short ball and Phillips just hits that off his hip. I think there's more thigh pad than bat there. We'll wait for the umpire's signal. Yes, leg buys. 1 to the total though. 23 required for the victory. Stapleton on strike. Sams pitches up and it's defended into the offside, and that's the end of Daniel Sams' 4 overs. 1 for 20 off his 4 overs. Good. The first over he conceded a few, but the last 3 overs were very tight. We saw his class and just 4 runs coming off that over. So 2 for 112.
He is first going for 80, his last 3 going for 12 and picking up a wicket. So, yeah, impressive figures there for Dan Sams. He bowled pretty well, but it looks to all kind of be in vain as St George kind of creep themselves towards the finish line. 23 required off 30. So that run rate's crept up to 4.6. It was down to about 3.5 and over at one stage. So we'll be Riley Air to continue. 23 off 30. This ball lofted beautifully. That is going to go all the way for 6. Lovely shot there by Phillips, who advances down the track, used his feet nicely and lifted that effortlessly up over Muyeye at long off for 6.
And one of the hardest shots to play in cricket is the lofted cover drive, and he excels at that shot, Phillips. We just see that ball off Riley, just a bit of width and just playing through the line, found the gap.
17 to win now. Backing away, chopping, but hits it late. He's a little bit disappointed with himself there as it squirts out to Singh at cover.
I feel like he's losing balance. His head's moving around too much when he tries to play those shots. Phillips just needs to be a bit stiller.
Back and punching back to air. A little bit of a misfield, but they won't take the single. So 2 for 118. Phillips 34 from 40 now. Stapleton 4 from 9. And driving forcefully down to long off for a single. So it's been a pretty fruitful one so far here for the Saints. 7 runs off the first 4 deliveries. Phillips looking to get a nod out next to his name.
Boost the average.
Now Stapleton doing his job, clipping the ball nicely down to long on for a single, rotating the strike.
$15 now for St George.
Backing away, it stays a little bit low, but he chops it away to deep cover for the single, so he'll retain the strike. Yeah, it's finished his 4 overs as well. Tidy figures of 1 for 24 as Phillips retains the strike. He is 36 from 42, Stapleton 5 from 10, and St George 2 for 121 with just 14 more to win. And I guess when you look at the match script and the storylines of the match, it's probably down to the disappointing batting performance of Randwick Petersham. They laid a platform in the first 8 to 10 overs, but really lost their way after some really good bowling and fielding by St George.
Yeah, most certainly. And Luke Bartier's dashing innings in this St George chase has taken the pressure off them and made it pretty easy for them. These two teams are due to play next week, and Randwick Petersham are due to host Gordon at Petersham Oval, and St George will be hosting Eastern Suburbs right here. Big fixtures next week for these two teams. Got Sydney hosting Manly Warringah next week at Drummoyne Oval. Uni of New South Wales hosting Mossman at David Phillips South. And UTS North Sydney are playing at North Sydney 1 against Sutherland. So a great slate of fixtures in this Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup next weekend. Here's Singh.
Phillips backs away and punches. He beats the fielder at point, but it'll be mopped up by Ninan for the single. So 37, Phillips, quite a handy little innings here. Looking to get a bit of red ink next to his name with there's 13 more required for victory. free the arms and slapping that one out through the covers in Stapleton. So happy to do it in singles. Here the boys in red and white.
12 required. Phillips back on strike. And a fine partnership between Phillips and Bartier after the loss of McDonald early. And since then, they've just looked very accomplished, never tested particularly by Randwick Petersham. Steady flow of boundaries.
Phillips goes for the big shot, but dragging it back with a square leg for a single. The St George boys up there are pretty relaxed. They're throwing the footy around, enjoying a bit of sunshine.
It's been a cracking match though. We've seen some fantastic bowling from the spinners early, Moores and McMillan, and then Bartier with those succession of sixes over the grandstand.
There were some shots, weren't they?
And Caleb Phillips just throwing a few lofted cover drives out of the textbook there. Had it all today.
Captain against captain here. Singh into Stapleton. Is clipping nicely, but again straight to the man. A couple of balls still left in this, the 17th over. Not too much talk out there from Randwick Petersham, almost consigned to the fact with only 11 to win, they can't collect a victory in this fixture, as this was ricocheted barely off the pitch square for a single for Stapleton. So a nice little bounce back for St George. Chased a similar total last week and lost by 2 runs against Manly. They bounce back here. They'll go to 1-1. Randwick will fall to 1-1, having had a close win in their first fixture.
Yeah, really important win for St George. They would have been desperately disappointed to get so close to that 139 and just not be able to finish it off. And then I guess they would have seen this target, and there was that sort of nervous area as well, but they got there in the end. And now Singh is into Phillips, and he just defends on the offside, and they're off for a quick single.
Yeah, good running there again. It's been a real good part of their cricket today. So here, retain the strike once more. Phillips moves to 40 now. Stapleton on 7, 2 for 1, 2 6 after 17. So under 10 into single digits now for St George. 9 to win. Will they perhaps try and finish it in this over? Phillips 39 from 45. Stapleton 7 from 13. Partnership worth 20. Just not enough runs from Randwick Petersham. 1, 3, 4. We thought with Sams and Air and Daya Singh that might be enough for them to challenge, but some really good batting has just denied them.
And not just overall the last 10 overs, but even in that last 3 overs of the Randwick innings where you're looking to maybe slog a few, they just kept losing wickets and couldn't get going. And in the end, they fell well short of what they were looking like at the halfway mark. And we've seen here that St George will do this pretty comfortably.
They've always been in control, haven't they? Even when McDonald fell. Ryan Innings continues. Phillips advances and works that into the gap on the leg side for a single.
I think we were spot on. That 150 mark was around sort of par. That was where you could really start to challenge. Because this ground, the outfield's quick, the boundaries are too short.
Linden back over the wicket. And Stapleton slugs out into the deep. He was looking for that big shot. He turns quickly and races his way back. And they get a couple. So 2 for 129. 6 to win. 5 to drag the scores level.
Stapleton try and be a hero and sit over the fence here for 6.
Try and pull one out of the AA Menzel playbook.
The walk-off 6 to win.
I've got no idea what that is.
We'll see if he does, or whether they just try and pick it up in 1s and 2s. The field moving in a little bit now. There's just, looks like as if just the 2 men outside, or 3 men on the boundaries. Oh, and that ball really bounced up over length there from Ninan.
Just a bit of test cricket there for a minute.
Yeah.
Beautiful off spinner, classically played. Short leg would have snaffled that one.
Back, stays low cutting, but again straight to the man. So Ninan looking to to finish without the runs being hit off him. It's always a target as a bowler when the side chasing runs down. You don't want to be the man that, or player that they hit the winning runs off. Stapleton with a full toss, whips it down to long on for a single. 2 for 130. Stapleton goes double figures with 10.
I mean, it's what we spoke about. The players know that net run rate's important, so if you can keep them out there for an over or two longer, could be the difference between getting through and not.
Especially with all the rain around as well, matches being abandoned. Phillips does the same, advances and clips down to long on, so he'll get the strike for the next over. He moves to 40, Stapleton 10, and after 18 overs, 2 for 131 St George in reply to Randwick Petersham's 134, so 3 to tie, and just a boundary is all that's needed for St George to collect their first victory of the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup competition for the 2022-2023 season. So it will be Singh to bowl his last over. He's been pretty tidy, 3 overs, none for 18. A side that's been thoroughly outclassed in the field. Missing Jason Sanger today, Randwick Petersham. He played in the their last T20 Cup clash, but of course is with the New South Wales Blues squad. They will play the Sheffield Shield from tomorrow until Thursday down at North Dalton Park in Wollongong against the South Australian Redbacks. Jason looking for runs for a New South Wales top order that struggled for consistent runs of late. But here's Daya Singh. And a little tap that barely goes behind the wickets. There's a shy at the stumps. And they're home for the single. Sams can't believe it. He's really disappointed that hasn't been given out. It was a close call in the end, but umpire is a judge that the skipper Nick Stapleton has got home.
There's been a few close run-outs today. A few attempts. Now, for those watching, if you love your T20 cricket, there's a lot to come today. So we've got the WBBL, the Melbourne Renegades hosting the Sydney Sixers down in Ballarat. And then there's 3 games in the T20 World Cup, starting off with Bangladesh versus Zimbabwe at 2 o'clock from the Gabba. So it's a real festival of T20 cricket. A game that I think is going to take cricket, a format that I think is going to take cricket into the stratosphere over the next 10 years.
Singh charges in. And he bowled him! Stapleton advances and he hits the 12 off stump with a lovely delivery. Well deserved for Daya Singh. He's really toiled hard for the Randwick Petersham side today. He's rather nonchalant in his celebrations, if you can even call it that. Stapleton looking to finish the game. He couldn't do so as his off stump disturbed. He's out for 10. 3 for 132. 2 to tie, 3 to win here for St George in the 19th over.
Yeah, like, what would you say the biggest World Cup in the world is? The football, the soccer World Cup?
I think so, yeah.
And then there's no real clear second. But I actually think the T20 Cricket World Cup could actually take that mantle.
Well, you look at some of the sides, even in the preliminary rounds where you saw the Netherlands and Namibia. I know Sri Lanka were in there. And
Scotland beat the West Indies.
Yeah, Scotland, Ireland. You're seeing all these teams that 15, 20 years ago, they might have had status as an international side, but we just didn't see them. There's more and more ICC associates T20 tournaments, so there's a chance that in the next kind of few editions you could have 32 teams in a World Cup. That's what the Football World Cup is at the moment, and I think the fact that you can get young kids playing at a young age in a format like this that is only ever going to go for 2.5, 3 hours, I think is really promising for the game to move forward. Sing into Van Tempest. Van Tempest is defending the wicket batsman, and
it's getting nervy here at St George. Everyone's sitting on the edge of their seats. Just 3 runs left, 9 balls. The Randwick Petersham field is getting closer and closer.
It would make things interesting if he was able to get another wicket here.
Yeah, and push it into the last over.
Yeah, Menas would love that. He loves the excitement.
Oh, boy, do I ever.
He's got nowhere else to be this afternoon.
Nope.
And charges Singh. 3 balls left in his 4th over. And Van Tempest pulls hard. And down to the boundary to fall, and St George win in stylish fashion. A 7-wicket win with 8 balls to spare. A comprehensive beating in the end. And their batting was consistent and solid after a top order knock by Luke Bartier, a half century, and well supported by the middle order, as we saw a really decent innings in that middle portion by Caleb Phillips, who finished 40 unbeaten. But it was down to the bowlers earlier in the afternoon. Josh Moores picked up 4 wickets, and off-spinner Raphael McMillan picked up 3 after they fell from 2 for 82 to be all out for 134 in the 20th over. And St George Menas never really troubled. I thought they chased this total really successfully, in the sense that didn't try to play their hand. They didn't get nervous. Weren't trying to hit the ball out of the into the stands every single ball. Ran hard, picked up the 1s and 2s, played the gaps, and they should be very, very happy as Van Tempest finishes unbeaten on 4. Phillips 42. They finish at 3 for 136, their first win of the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup for the 2022 campaign.
Yep, both these teams now have 1 win. Fine performances on both sides. Camden Hawkins played very well earlier for Randwick Petersham. But in the end, it was Josh Moores with 4 for 16 who really did turn this match, taking 2 wickets early on in his spell in his first over. And from there, Randwick Petersham were never able to recover. As you mentioned, Luke Bartier with an accomplished, fine half-century, and did it at such a strike rate that it made his teammates be able to just go along quite smoothly at the other end. And in the end, a professional performance by St George, and I think these 2 teams will be there or thereabouts come the end of this season. Yeah, 2 very strong T20 Cup sides, and it has been an interesting and absorbing clash day. Hope you enjoyed it on KO Sports here this afternoon, and also this morning. Myself and Andrew Menzel will be back next Sunday for another KO Sports match of the day. We'll be jumping across to the Thunder Conference, hopefully seeing another cracking affair, and hope you are enjoying these contests. On behalf of myself and Andrew Menzel, also our cameraman Mark and Chi, doing a wonderful job bringing you all of the pictures. Hope you enjoyed the coverage. We'll see you next Sunday as we sign off from Hurstville Oval. We're forcing the St George skipper to make changes.
It's back and pulling that one beautifully. That's got a long way. Crashes in to the bricks on the seating on the leg side, and that raced off the willow of Tawanda Moyeye, who is looking in fine touch here this morning at Hurstville Oval. Absolutely. And they're driving over the top. It's going to go straight to Phillips. It's a dolly of a catch. He makes no mistake, the talented all-rounder, and Stapleton does get the breakthrough. After Moyeye hitting that big 6, probably didn't need to try and replicate.
Sam's on strike. That short ball, that's hit in the air. Square legs running across. Good save. And they're coming back for 2. Good fielding by the man out there patrolling the boundary. Sam's on strike. Tossed up and hit to long.